Ambient noise, yeah.
So now you're grabbing some BANDLAB clips.
Now for me that would also be something where I would use like volume automation and like bring that from the bottom, like bring it in and then bring it back out.
And these are the kinds of sounds you can stretch. With this AI, like stretching it actually can be cool.
Oh, that was perfect for the interlude too.
Ends it right in the right
I
spot.
didn't even notice. 40. The texture faded out at the interlude until it happened. I'm like, wait a minute.
Sometimes you just, it was just meant to be that way.
Well, hello, my friends. It's good to see you again. Oh,
Am I not hearing Glenn?
yeah, not hearing you, Glenn. You're muted, that's why.
No, not me. Me?
Self mutilation.
I've been away so long, I have no idea. How is everybody today? We have a
Oh, we'll
special
get
guest,
you warmed
UMF, here
back up.
today.
Yes, our favorite unicorn.
That's right.
Don't worry, you'll wish I was muted.
Not yet, but maybe later. We'll check back in on that later. But we have lots of stuff to go over today and special guest stuff to talk about. So definitely good stuff all around. What have you guys been
Yes.
doing this week? Anything in particular you've been doing this week there, UMF?
Well, I have specifically been working on. I noticed BandLab is giving some priority to videos at the top of the Explore page on my phone in particular.
Mhm.
And so I started thinking I want to make at least like some sort of like what I'll call like a short to maybe advertise what I'm working on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I've been using AI because I mean I can draw, but you know, like a dinosaur with a crayon, and it's cool for what it is. But and then because of some of the stuff I saw on the show before, I was like, oh, there's some stuff. So I went out and I made what I think is some kind of cool stuff. And then you can actually make that. I wouldn't call it a movie, but it like wiggles and stuff.
Nice. There is motion to be had.
And you could get on. I think right now, probably a lot of people are moving into doing videos, but it still seems like it might be a little bit like maybe a little bit less competition for that sort of top line if that's a thing people care about.
Nice.
Well, and I think it's important nowadays if you're making music to start thinking of visuals to go with your music because we're living in a multimedia age.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, and I like people to look at my stuff on BandLab, so I mean, you know, it's cool. Not everybody likes it. Some people out and out don't like it. That's fine. Go ahead and write that. As long as it's a comment, I don't care.
It's interaction, yeah.
And it's nice to be able to like, you know, generate the kinds of images when you get good at the prompting. You can really make some images that are like what you envision to go with your song.
And it well, I mean, I am putting into it like, you know, make a unicorn playing a guitar, driving a tow truck, wearing a spacesuit, which I guess is sort of specific, but I mean, some of it's come up and been pretty awesome.
I can just imagine what it's coming up with.
Indeed.
And you start learning a little bit about how well do I actually describe something. So it's almost like a song in itself.
Nice.
Well, let's take a look at what we do have lined up for tonight.
Sure.
We've got a whole mix of stuff here. We're gonna look at some BandLab features. They put out a couple of new videos showing some of their features that they've been, you know, working on, but specifically effects, because, you know, Uni's been on here before showing us how the presets work, how to make your own custom preset. And this video that they came out with is using effects to polish your mix in BandLab's free web studio. And this one's probably going to be more specific to, you know, the web studio because they kind of say it in the title. So if you're using the mobile app, it's always possible that what you see here may or may not be over there. They're not always interchangeable. So we'll see what they offer. This guy, Sky Jord Dick XN. I'm thinking
Right.
it's Sky Jordan with an X. He's got a whole bunch of BandLab videos. He's really taken off with their content and putting out some good stuff to deal with their BandLab presets. We're gonna look at how he's put together some, and he's got a bunch of free ones that he puts out there.
Nice.
And this one, it's about time that like they address this scenario because so many people use the loopers over on BandLab, and you sometimes get caught in that loop, and it gets hard to break out of. So they're going to give you some suggestions on, you know, how to break out of your loops.
In a similar way, we get stuck in loops with certain progressions. Like they always do it back to the same progression, and it always sounds the same. But this is another way of helping to break out of that, which is good.
Yeah. And that's not just for BandLab looping, just songwriting in general. Like you get into a groove and a riff, and next thing you know, you're playing it for like 10 hours straight.
Exactly. It's infectious. And
So,
if you don't record a piece of it, you lose it. So make sure you record a little piece of it at least. Then you can find it again.
And we're also going to be looking at some of that AI that we're talking about, and how to go from images to motion, which is really where it's starting to get exciting. I mean, Glenn and I have been looking at this for a good 2 years now, and it's developing so fast.
It's hard to keep up.
Yeah, everything we were looking at 6 months ago is now changing and either becoming paid products or has evolved into whole other products.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to look at how to create AI video with Midjourney and After Effects. For me, I'm a big After Effects fan, so I'd like to see how they take Midjourney into After Effects and get things to move. Plus, After Effects now has its own built-in AI, so this could be a good complement to it.
Mm-hmm.
Theoretically Media has one on amazing AI filmmaking is here. Gen 2, the ultimate cinematic AI. So I'm really curious to see like this AI that he's talking about. And again, Gen 2 AI is kind of where we've been at.
Yeah. And again, these things are turning over so fast that the acceleration rate, so the next generations are going to be that much faster than the last couple.
Yeah, right now everybody's talking about ChatGPT 4. So
right.
It's only a matter of time.
Oh, yeah.
And then we're going to switch things up a little bit. We're going to go into some vocal resources. They're, when it comes to music resources on YouTube, the vocal resources, there's plenty of them out there. Matter of fact, one that I would have liked to include, but he gets his own spot on Tuesdays, Chris Lipe. So we're lucky enough to like tune in on Tuesdays because we've got one of the best resources out there spotlighting. But we're also going to be looking at some of the other ones that are out there, and Melissa Cross is by far the most sought after. She's called the Queen of Scream for a good reason. Like every metal singer, any singer who's like wanting to scream professionally, she's their go-to. I mean, she's famous. And this comes from DrDan's Voice Essentials, which is kind of like a double spotlight because I really wanted to spotlight her. She doesn't really push herself through her YouTube channel. So DrDan's got a great interview with her that, will help to introduce who Melissa Cross is to people.
Right.
And this one came from our friend Mr. Cemetery, Jason Jacobs. Yeah, and I love this channel when he showed it to me. When you go searching for metal screaming, you will find Melissa Cross and this channel, Voice Hacks. I think it's Missy Z is her name. She is as much up there when you search for metal screaming resources as Melissa. So she really is kind of complementing, our first video. And this is another one that came from Jason, which he actually showed me her months ago. I love her. Not only does she teach good metal screaming techniques, but she also does like a cooking metal show where she sings out the recipe, and I really recommend everybody go check out her channel because you'll learn how to make a killer meal and how to sing at the same time.
I'll have to find out how
to put the bread in the toaster and then peanut butter on the bread.
It's right up your alley, Uni. I was thinking you could totally do this.
Oh, dude,
we'll have to see how the cat reacts
awesome
to the screaming too.
Yeah.
Does the cat like it, or is the cat afraid of it?
Oh, there is actually one more in there. The one that you sent me. Let me see if I have it in our favorites. Because you did send me
Oh, Victoria's vocal tips.
Yes. Let me see if I can find her here.
I know she's like probably not everybody's cup of tea, but man, I love Victoria's stuff. Helps me sing better than anybody else's stuff.
There she is.
Hands down.
Healthy vocal techniques. Yes. So we've got one from her as well.
I've definitely seen her videos. Yes.
She's the shit.
And she does have a great resource for any singer out there looking to, learn and improve.
That one I sent you, 6 minutes, and if you try singing along with her stuff at the end of, like, she does stuff all the time. It's like 5 minutes, and it makes you better in 5 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, it's real quick. I mean, it's like power lessons. And we do have the video queued up in our video queue, so
all right,
we'll get. And if we do have some time afterwards, we might take a look at this new supercomputer that Tesla's been using to build their smart cars and send things to space. It's the DOJO supercomputer.
And man, if we had a chance, dude, I would love to actually, just pull up a page and just show some of the pictures I generated and the prompts I used maybe to do that. And then I've got, in particular, we should look at this website that I found called Crayon. Again, it's just super fun and it's totally free, which I think is super appealing. And then something called Pika Art, which is really, it's complicated, but it makes the coolest thing.
Nice. Well, here, why don't you get those loaded and add them? You can set up your screen share, and that way it'll be ready.
Okay,
and,
great.
We'll start with the using the effects to polish, and that'll give you enough time to get them loaded up in here, and we'll bounce back and forth.
Awesome, man.
All right.
Yeah, I have stuff that's just like complete that we can just look at.
Nice. Yep. And here's the video from BANDLAB.
Yeah, come.
Hi, this is Mike from BANDLAB. Did you know that you can use BANDLAB's included effects to make your mixes sound more polished? In this video, we're going to look at how you can use filters, modulation, and dynamics processing to get a cleaner sounding mix. You can open this project yourself with the link in the video description. And if you find this guide useful, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to be the first to know when new videos drop. Here we're starting out with the template I made earlier. If you're looking for a guide to starting your own track from scratch, check out our playlist of video tutorials. This 8-bar loop comprises of a kick track, a track for other drum sounds, and arpeggiator, bass, and lead parts. While there's nothing wrong with this idea in terms of composition, the mix is a touch messy sounding, with instruments fighting for space, particularly in the mid-range. Let's solo the synth parts and take a listen. The bass sound has a lot of mid-range energy, which is masking the arpeggiator and lead parts. We can tame the mid-range using a low-pass filter. The trade-off is that this will make the bass part sound less full, but that might be the right choice for this particular project. Let's try it out and see if it improves the mix. In the effects panel, I add a tone multi-filter and set its frequency to 650 Hz. Here's how it affects the sound. Here's how the bass sounds in the context of the mix. With the filter activated, the bass retains its weight in the low end, and while it loses its aggressive feel in the mids, I prefer how it sounds in context. Now the mid-range has been cleaned up a bit, let's make the most of the available space. I'd like to be able to hear the arpeggiator part more clearly in the mix. So I added Dynamics BL1176 compressor effect. This makes the loud part of the signal quieter, then brings up the level of the track as a whole, giving us a more consistent volume level. I feel this is a touch too loud, so I bring down the effect's output to -2.4 dB. I feel like the arpeggiator is now masking the drums a little too much in the mid-range, so I added Dynamics pumper effect. With the default settings, this reduces the volume of the signal on each beat, which in this project is when the kick drum plays. This helps the kick drum punch through the mix. I don't want the effect to be too severe, so I reduced the pumper's amount to 30%. Let's tidy up the low end of the arpeggiator to give the kick and bass more room to breathe. I add a multi-filter, set it to high pass mode, and set the frequency to 200 Hz. Now let's see if we can improve the mix further by processing the lead. Like the arpeggiator, we could take out some of the sound's low end without making it sound too thin. I add a multi-filter, again set it to high pass mode, and set the frequency to 480 Hz. This sound already has some stereo movement. Let's listen to it soloed so we can hear this clearly. When a sound moves out of the center of the mix, known as the mid channel, to the sides of the mix, known as the side channel, it leaves more room for the elements in the center of the mix to breathe. Let's add a modulation effect that will give this part yet more stereo movement. I add a modulation auto pan effect. Set the spread to 80% and the rate to 16th notes. This quickly moves the lead around the stereo panorama, giving it a wide sound that helps the central elements sound solid in the mix. I also add a pumper effect, setting its amount to 27%. Again, this ducks the lead, helping the kick punch through the mix. Now let's compare the original version of this loop and the cleaned up version we just made. The processed version sounds less chaotic, cleaner, and punchier. I feel like a vocal would sit more easily on top of this version. Also, it has a lower peak level, meaning it can be pushed harder at the mastering stage. Remember, you can fork this project and make your own version of it using the link in the video description. Have fun!
Indeed. Very
Oh,
cool.
they showed some useful effects that BandLab has in there to use to enhance your sound. Some of them
Dramatic
it was
differences.
some of them it was kind of hard to hear. They were more subtle,
But when
but
you hear them
it's
all the
good to
changes
know.
together, yeah.
Yeah, it's good to know like those filter effects and how to use them.
Yeah. And another good place for using those just in another situation is in live sound that we do. Like sometimes there'll be a room hum going on and you have to, pinpoint where that frequency is and use that sort of tools to try to get that frequency, out of the way, prevent it from causing that big boom that sometimes happens. It happens.
Yeah, and you should get comfortable with like the EQ effects. Like that's where Uni's preset that he did, has a nice balance of lows to mid to high equalization.
Yeah. And that's the
And
way
you
to do
can
it.
sweep it. Yeah.
Very cool. And was that a new channel there?
Well, that's actually coming right from BandLab, the BandLab channel,
Nice.
which I believe they are at BandLab on YouTube. Yes, they are.
I've been getting a bunch of the YouTube videos from BandLab pushed to me, but I go watch them. There is helpful stuff. It's interesting to see how. I'm not sure who is that, exactly, and like how they think BandLab should be used. And sometimes I agree, and sometimes I'm like going, oh, I'm totally doing something different.
Yeah, every once in a while they'll blast out a couple of new ones, and you'll get some new features when they do come out with them. It tends to be to showcase new features, but it looks like they're really trying to get better tutorial videos and get people comfortable with the basics.
I got one of some kid doing auto-tune, and it sounded really, really good on his voice like an effect, but it sounds terrible on my voice like an effect.
Well, you have a good voice. Auto-tune, when you do have a good voice, you got to be careful with auto-tune. Otherwise, it can bring your voice down.
Yeah. And sometimes the little variations or the little imperfections in a voice are, part of what makes it, uniquely characteristic song. Do it your way, and even if it is a little off, it's you can always work on that and get it a little better rather than trying to auto-tune it and force it, shoehorn it in.
Anyway, that kid sounded good though.
Horseshoe horn it.
Yeah. Unicorn horns. Unicorn hoops. No shoes. Now we have a second video from BandLab.
I sleep with my shoes on.
Do you sleep standing up?
Only half standing up, right?
But the horn
someday
down.
I'll get a camera that shows the tail.
It's like depends how drunk I am.
No one wants to see that.
Yeah, our second BandLab video comes from Sky Jordan with an X, although I think it is Jordan is what it's supposed to stand for. Yeah, and he's at Sky Jordan DXN on YouTube. Now, I've actually shown him before for I think the night that we did your preset stuff.
Preset,
yeah, I think I'd come across him because really, when you're searching for BandLab presets, there's not a lot of videos out there. He's one of them, and he's got some good ones, and he's got some good presets that he tends to make and share with people. So I think he's a really cool resource.
Excellent.
Artist and engineer.
Sky Jordan.
What he's going to be talking about is free BandLab vocal presets for headphones, which everybody says, like, you should listen to this with headphones. So sometimes that is true.
All right. Let's check that one out.
With new BandLab vocal presets for new jazz type beats. I've been seeing these beats everywhere, been seeing on my analytics. So guess what? I made some presets for you. I got two. One is a clean recording, and then the other one is for ad-lib. For the past couple of weeks, I looked at my analytics. People want BandLab. People search for BandLab. The algorithm is pushing BandLab. So here we are with more BandLab presets for headphones over new jazz type beats because I see y'all watching those videos looking for those type beats. So let's make the presets for them. I made them. But if you don't want to use the auto tune, you can turn it off. It's just that simple. You don't have to cry about it, all right? Like, nobody's forcing you to use auto tune. Just turn it off. When it comes to the new jazz clean, we got the gain turned up, but you can turn the gain down as you need, right? So we have the BL1176, input 5.8, output 0, attack 1.6, release 1.2, and a ratio 4:1. And then we go to the Tech Lab BA28, 60 for the gain, squeeze on 46 in uncompressed mode. And then we have a simple reverb rhythm chamber, 35%. It's the new Univerb BandLab plugin. So that's the clean, all right? And then we go to the ad-lib. Same things, but we got an EQ, M, 30, -30, -30, 2.7. And then we go to the Univerb Women's Institute, and then we got Atrium on 59%. It's crazy. So we're gonna go back over here, and we're gonna record so you can see what's up. And yeah, let's get it. Hey, you ain't really slime like that. You ain't really slime like that. Hey, you ain't really slime like that. I know. Hey, you ain't really slime like that. Hey, you ain't really slime like that. Hey, you ain't really slime like that. I know. I done heard about you. 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 Alright, so let's see, play it. Hey, you ain't really slime like that. You ain't really slime like that. Hey, you ain't really slime like that. I know. Hey, you ain't really slime like that. Hey, you ain't really slime like that. Hey, you ain't really slime like that. I know. I done heard about you. 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 Hey, you ain't really slime like that. I know. You ain't really slime like that. Hey, you ain't really slime like that. I know. Hey, you ain't really slime like that. Hey, you ain't really slime like that. Hey, you ain't really slime like that. I know. I done heard about you. I done heard about you. I done heard about you. I know. 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 I done heard about you.
Hey, you ain't really slang like that. You ain't really slang like that. Hey, you ain't really slang like that. I know. Hey, you ain't really slang like that. Hey, you ain't really slang like that. Hey, you ain't really slang like that. I know. I know. I done heard about you. I don't. I done heard about you. I don't. I done heard about you. I don't. I done heard about you. Hey, you ain't really slang like that. he ain't really slang like that. Hey, he ain't really slang like that. I know. Hey, he ain't really slang like that. Hey, he ain't really slang like that. Hey, he ain't really slang like that. I know.
And the thing is, if you're gonna use that weird preset, you need to turn it down and tweak it according, because I just got it there just to have it there. And now I'm finna do the ad libs. So let's see.
Hey, he ain't really slang like that. He ain't really slang like that. Hey, he ain't really slang like that. I know. Hey, he ain't really slang like that. Hey, he ain't really slang like that. Hey, he ain't really slang like that. I know. I know. I done heard about you. I know. I done heard about you. Yeah, I didn't even see you on. Yeah. Let's get it. Hey, he ain't really slang like that. He ain't really slang like that. Hey, he ain't really slang like that. I know. Hey, he ain't really slang like that. Hey, he ain't really slang like that. Hey, he ain't really slang like that. I know. I know. I done heard about you. I know. I done heard about you. I know. I done heard about you. I know. I done heard about you.
Alright, so we got that. Play that.
Hey, he ain't really slang like that. He ain't really slang like that. Hey, he ain't really slang like that. I know. Hey, he ain't really slang like that. Hey, he ain't really slang like that. Hey, he ain't really slang like that. I know. I know. I done heard about you. I know. I done heard about you. I know. I done heard about you. I know. I done heard about you.
That's crazy.
Hey, he ain't really slang like that. He ain't really slang like that. Hey, he ain't really slang like that. I know. Hey, he ain't really slang like that. Hey, he ain't really slang like that. Hey, he ain't really slang like that. I know. I know. I done heard about you. I know. I done heard about you. I know. I done heard about you. I know. I done heard about you.
So we gonna make that one wider.
Hey, he ain't really slang like that. He ain't really slang like that. Hey, he ain't really slang like that. I know. Hey, he ain't really slang like that. Hey, he ain't really slang like that. Hey, he ain't really slang like that. I know.
That's crazy. That's
I
crazy.
know. I done heard about you. I know. I done heard about you. I know. I done heard about you. I know. I done heard about you.
Let's fire one more time.
Hey, he ain't really slang like that. He ain't really slang like that. Hey, he ain't really slang like that. I know. Hey, he ain't really slang like that. Hey, he ain't really slang like that. Hey, he ain't really slang like that. I know. I know.
Simple.
I done heard about you. I know. I done heard about you. I know. I done heard about you. I know. I done heard about you.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. So for new jazz type beats, you know, the laid back R&B like Yeet, Benny X type beats, the Zodiac, Amir produced it type beats, whatever it is. This will work with Travis Scott, Don Toliver, Drake, anybody. You just gotta tweak the settings and perform correctly. And I'm making the BandLab presets with Apple headphones, so it's no excuses. Because if I can sound good with Apple headphones, you should be able to sound good with a studio microphone, with a USB microphone, with Apple headphones, because I'm literally using Apple headphones, right? But make sure you like the video, subscribe, and leave a comment, and I'm gonna make more BandLab content because that's what the algorithm says. So I'm gonna do what the algorithm wants me to do.
Go, Sky Jordan.
Yeah,
Do
yeah.
it. I like that. I like seeing artists have fun like that.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and showing the how easy it is to layer things, but the kind of results that you can get by doing layers like that, for sure.
Well, and you got a good example of the stereo widener, the way he added that, like at the end. That really does add another depth.
Yeah, that's important.
Just always astonished what people can do on their phone.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love the way he lays out, like you can nice, clear phone screen on the right, and that's a good way to put together these tutorials for the mobile side.
Yeah, yeah. And that's a rare look for me at the mobile as well, because I always use it on the always use it on the PC instead. So
Yeah, I'm so used to seeing it on the computer side that, like, to see it on the mobile side and how fluid he is. Oh my God, he's good with that. And if you look on his channel, I mean, he's clearly comfortable with the mobile devices. I mean, he's got stuff on how to use Logic Pro on the iPad tutorial, and he is moving and shaking.
yeah, and for something like the phone, there, it's more about showing that it's accessible to anybody. Hey, you got a phone, got some headphones, then here you can do this. Like that's well put together for that. I like it.
Yeah, everybody got a phone these days. Yeah, we're gonna have to reach out to him. Definitely gonna be checking out some more of his videos.
Yeah. Definitely hit a lot of topics.
Our last BandLab video, hopefully will help some of us to break out of our loops that we get into sometimes, and especially when you are using, the BandLab loopers, and how to, like, arrange in a way where your song builds up and doesn't just stay caught in the loop zone.
Yeah, and sometimes for me, loops are more suited for like practice time or for jam time. Like if you're working on soloing, for example, there's no problem having something that sounds like it's just an 8-bar loop, because you're just going around and around and around and experimenting with different things against that loop in the background. But it's good not to get stuck in that rut, for sure. And this looks like there's some good transitions and good things to add to give that different energy going into a different section, for example. That kind of thing is important to get a fully structured song moving along, that kind of thing.
Yeah, looking at how they're arranging things, like every so many bars, you add some layers, you maybe mix up the main loop so that it gets some change in it.
And everything doesn't have to be on the whole time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Little piece here,
Truth.
little piece there. Even if it's just for different effects, I've seen, could be the same
Except
guitar,
me.
Different way.
Once I start singing, you're all done for.
How many layers?
Well,
how many layers of vocals do you normally put in a song? Just one layer?
I've heard him do multi-layered, like some of the Zeppelin stuff. He has layered his vocals.
That's questions like, how many layers do you normally put of vocals in a song?
So I really try to put. Well, it's weird how long it takes me to make it sound like there's nothing happening, no effects on my voice. But I like a single slap echo, which I think sounds really, really good. And I like to put a little bit of reverb on that. And then like my upfront vocal, like just sort of squeeze the EQ to shit a really bright sound in there. And then have that, so that's like almost like no effects. And then all, the effects on that slap.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
But also on a bunch of my stuff, you can hear my galaxy famous double syrinx. And so that's a layer. I'll give away a trade secret, man, but I think people should try stuff that's weird. So I just go in and I add another vocal of my own, just copy it. Or sometimes I'll sing a second one, but usually I just copy it and I just move it over and knock it out of time a little bit. And then I just lower it like ridiculously, like 7 or 9 steps. And it's just like coasting along in the background. And it's like, it's out of tune because it's like whatever it is. Like,
right. It's not down an octave, it's down something off.
Yeah, it's just something. And whatever sounds good to me that day. And then it's like singing along with your, it's like doing backup with yourself a little bit there. So I put, that's but it's real. It just is a thing that just happens. It's just because, I have to have 2 microphones to catch it.
Yeah. Very cool. It can sound haunting as well. Yeah.
It works on some stuff and not on other stuff.
Yeah.
There is no magical thing that works on everything in music. I wish there was.
Almost that thing, but it's almost that thing, but not quite.
Yeah, well, even reverb, you change it based on, the room that you're trying to to
I
be
think
in.
having a blast works on everything. If you can like really, put your enthusiasm, you can like, I used to work in telemarketing and they'd say, answer, you got to answer with a smile in your voice. And I thought it was the stupidest thing I ever heard, but
you used to get that too.
it turns out to be totally true. And you can hear it even more when you start compressing your vocal.
Mm-hmm. It's true. You can definitely hear a smile in the voice.
Well,
And
yeah,
you can hear everything.
Mm-hmm.
Although it's a little tough to smile and sing, isn't it?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I tried to, like myself personally, what I really am trying to put out there is an unbridled sense of joy each and every time. So
nice. It comes
Oh,
across.
I do hear that in all your tracks.
I mean,
Absolutely.
but I can't recommend anything more than that. Like, hopefully, if people really like what they're doing, I think you can hear that.
Definitely. Yep. People making music for the right reasons. Now, the one that we were going to look at next was going to be breaking out of a loop, right? How to break out of a loop when you're in BandLab's web studio.
Yep. This one also comes from at BandLab
Mhm.
over on YouTube.
Nice. Let's check it out.
Hi, this is Mike from BandLab. One thing a lot of producers struggle with is what to do once they've made an 8-bar loop. In this video, we're going to look at 8 ways you can develop a musical idea. Break out from the 8-bar loop trap and get on your way to making a complete arrangement. You can open this project yourself with the link in the video description. And if you find this guide useful, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to be the first to know when new videos drop. Here we're starting out with the template I made earlier. If you're looking for a guide to starting your own track from scratch, check out our playlist of video tutorials. This 8-bar loop is pretty simple, but it has all the basics covered. The drum part is an 808 kit playing a very straightforward trap-style pattern. The foundation of the music in this loop is a somber piano arpeggio, with some notes in the bass to create a sense of chordal movement. The 808 bass simply follows the root note of the piano. The melody is a processed bassoon playing a classical style lick. A mistake many struggling producers make when they've created such a loop is to think that for the next part of the track, they have to create something totally new, or something that introduces too many ideas into the mix. In fact, the easiest way to begin extending a loop into an arrangement is to use incremental changes to what you have already. Let's look at 8 ways we can do this. The first way we can create a sense of progression and development is to add another element to the mix that accentuates what's already happening. Here I've added a staccato orchestral string that plays in between each beat on the root note of the first chord. This doesn't add any new musical ideas, but it adds a syncopated energy to the track by emphasizing the offbeat. Technique number 2 is to swap something in the track out and replace it with a different sound. Often, simply removing elements without adding anything new lowers the energy of a track, and this can be useful when a track is winding down at the end. But generally, during the main part of the track, you'll want to keep the energy level high. Here, I swap out the melody for a shaker loop. The shaker loop adds energy to the track, which makes up for the loss in the melody. third way to develop things is to change the chords. Here I've dropped out the melody and used a simple variation on the piano part that, while having the same textural feel as the original part because it's exactly the same sound, changes the energy of the track because it's doing something different musically. The fourth tip is to change the melody. Here I've changed the melody up very slightly. It's a small change, but it alters the energy of the track and gives us a feeling of development. The fifth way to develop your track is to layer up the melody with another sound. This doesn't change anything about the track musically, but the changing texture of the melody gives the listener a sense of development. Adding a counter melody is our sixth technique. This develops the track musically and presents the melodic idea of the track to the listener in a new light. The seventh tool you can use is a breakdown. Here we're stripping everything away apart from the central musical idea. This does cause the energy level of the track to dip, so this isn't something you're going to want to do too often in the track, but used sparingly, it can be very effective. A breakdown introduces tension into the track, and when the bass and beats drop again, that tension is resolved, teasing the listener and keeping them engaged. Our eighth suggestion is to try a false breakdown. By cutting out the drums briefly at the start of a new section, the listener is encouraged to think that the track has entered a breakdown, and their expectation is the energy level is dropping. However, when the drums kick in a few beats later, their expectations are confounded, keeping them on their toes and engaged. Remember, you can fork this project and make your own version of it using the link in the video description. Have fun!
Nice.
Those are some good tips on how to break out of that
Absolutely.
situation. I like the shaker suggestion there, and
Mhm.
you know, pull back the melody, and that compensates for it.
Yeah. And we see breakdowns in all styles, all kinds of different styles of music. Another good method there, changing the
Yeah, and
energy in the song.
when he added that extra layer of melody, like it almost sounded pan flutish. Really did give it some extra spice.
Close to an ocarina. Get some interesting sounds out of that. Very cool. And once again, seeing about, layering, having things only in for different periods of time, have things come in and come back out. Lots of different ways to change up a loop to make it sound different. And again, that's only one way. You can just, move into a whole nother section of the song then if you want. And again, it doesn't have to be all new ideas, but just different ways of representing the ideas that you had, different rhythms, different ways of setting things up.
Texture.
A quick blip.
Quick blip. Right.
Thank you, Elon.
You were good. You weren't bad mouthing today.
Well, maybe I will have to show that Elon video later now.
That was a good one. I mean, we can check that out whenever. But I think we were going to get into some AI stuff at this point, right?
Yeah. Our second hour is going to be all about AI, and as Uni had suggested earlier, taking the image AI and taking it further with motion and incorporating video into it.
Nice. Very good. We've seen again such huge jumps and such fast progress in AI in recent months and recent years, and we've been watching it the whole time. And it's just again just goes by in a blip. Like next thing you know, it's like, oh, there's another new thing, and there's so many good tools out there to use that it's great to find more.
Some of it's so cool I might actually pay for something.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and that's just it. Like when we first started looking at it, a lot of them were free. There wasn't as many image AIs as we see now. It went from like just a handful last year to now there's dozens that I've heard of.
Mm-hmm.
But there's certain ones that definitely have stood out and that are very popular and being utilized. The next video, Midjourney, is one that I hear a lot of noise about.
Nice.
No.
And which page is this from?
This one comes from Cinecom, which
don't recognize
is
that.
it's a freshie.
Mm-hmm.
This is one I was looking at. Midjourney was something I was looking at, but it seems like that might have been a paid. They have I can't remember why I didn't start doing that. Maybe it was just too hard to figure out.
Was Midjourney the one that was based in Discord for most of it, or?
I don't know. I'm using a thing called Pika in there. I don't know much about it. Because you guys have talked about it, I just thought I'd start trying some. I couldn't even remember what to look at. So
yeah, that's the thing is like things come up so fast that there are new ones out there that are probably way better than the last ones that I used. But time to check them all out and take new links and see what all is out there, because again they change so fast and new videos are coming out all the time.
Yeah, and some of them build off of each other. Like the engines, in some cases, they're evolutions of another engine.
Right.
Exactly. Or combinations even of different types of strategies with different engines. Very cool.
Yeah, so this one's at Syncom Crew over on YouTube. They make tutorial videos about VFX, editing, and filmmaking using Adobe, probably Premiere.
Wouldn't shock me a bit.
Yep, Adobe Premiere Pro and After Effects. I mean, these are my go-to software. So I'm always interested to see a resource that helps to understand that, especially After Effects. It's
nice.
Got a learning curve.
And let's see what we get from the video. How to create AI video art in Midjourney and After Effects.
Midjourney AI is a tool that generates a brand new image by simply typing in some keywords or phrases. It is absolutely astonishing what the AI can do, but unfortunately it are just images that comes out of this tool. So in this video, we're going to show you how to transform those images into movies or moving art. Now, getting access to the Midjourney AI is through an invite, and we happen to have 5 invites laying around, so definitely stick around till the end of the video to see how you could obtain one of those invites. And now let's create some moving art.
These past weeks, you've probably seen a ton of AI artwork all over the internet. And one way you could create this is with Midjourney, and that is exactly what we'll be using today. And to use Midjourney, it's super easy. We can simply go to their Discord and we can type in imagine, and then we can just choose a prompt we want. So for example, let's look for a tree on the side of a cliff. We press enter, and then we just have to wait. Now, what is actually happening behind this screen? Well, it's super fascinating. Once you typed in what it needs to generate, it's going to use what it learns from its dataset and generate a new image. And this dataset exists out of a million pictures they find on the internet. But Midjourney is not just going to take your prompts like our tree and cliff, look for those in the images and paste them together. It's going to create a whole new image from its latent space. Now, what exactly is a latent space? Well, simply put, a latent space, also known as a latent feature space or embedding space, or in human language, you can see this as a graph with more than 3 dimensions where they classify all these objects and things. Like for example, how shiny an object is, what color it has, is it round or is it sharp, etc. After waiting a while, you're going to get your image back. And as you can see here, you have a tree on a cliff, or kind of. From here you can simply choose to completely redo this image, or you can choose one of these images and make an iteration of them. So for example, let's iterate on the first image. And again, you'll get 4 images based on that first image. Now from here you can just continue and start altering some things. If you want more water, if you want more clouds, whatever you want basically. Keep writing keywords and try to explain as good as possible what you want the image to be. Then once you're happy, you can simply just download it. Now, why exactly would we use AI art? Well, the first thing is of course that we can use it to make art. You can simply just create these images, or you can take it a step further and make them move. Next to this, I also think it's a great tool to get inspiration or just for concept art.
Oh, hey, Jordy from the future here. We forgot to mention which 3 images that we finally generated. Well, we started off with this one here, which is the upside down world, which kind of resembles the scene where Eddie is rocking on a trailer from Stranger Things 4. We have this beautiful tree inside of the ocean in which I'm going to swing on. And finally, a horror house with some super cool lighting. So let's create moving art with those now.
Now, before we continue with showing you how to bring these images to life, I need to tell you about MSI, our sponsor for today's video. They were kind enough to send us their P100X together with the Summit MS321 Up. And let's be honest, it looks beautiful. The P100X is designed to be more compact and stylish than the traditional desktops, and it really shows. The components inside are separated, so even though it's tiny, the heat dissipates great. And it having Wi-Fi 6E allows us to sit in the middle of the studio without having to connect really long cables. The Summit MS321 Up automatically detects ambient light and is able to adjust the brightness of the screen, so no more white blinding lights at night. Now, SpongeBob meme. It has a USB Type-C to charge every device you would ever want to charge. And to top it off, the MSI anti-flicker and less blue light technologies protects your eyes when you're spending hours and hours trying to refine that AI art.
This right here is our big ass green screen, and we're gonna set it up right now. No other gaps today, I'm sorry. We're building the world's largest swing. Additionally, you can also put yourself on one of these moving arts pieces. For example, the upside down world that we created from Stranger Things, where Eddie is rocking on top of the trailer. Basically, what we're just doing is setting up a green screen, as you can see right here. What's important is that you look at the lighting in your image and try to match that. So we have a red light over here and then just some ambient daylight over there. And that's making sure that my lighting kind of matches with the scene. I just stand in this box, we record the stuff, and we bring that back into After Effects effects, to do the keying, and do the compositing. Now, one important thing about setting up green screens is that you always work in two zones. One zone is the lighting for the green screen itself, and the second zone is the lighting for your talent. And you want to make sure the lighting that goes onto your green screen does not interfere with your subject. That is why we have these flags right here. If we don't have them, these are just simply blocking out the light. And I'm standing here, I'm also getting lit by the softbox that is actually only supposed to light out the green screen itself. Flags are your best friend, guys.
It's time to create some moving art inside After Effects, and we can do this super smoothly because our MSI Creator P100X has a 12th generation Intel Core i7 processor, and even with being so compact, it holds real power. The power of an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 30 series. To get full control over this power, we have the MSI Creator Center software. This will help us accelerate the daily used softwares like Adobe After Effects. Now, one thing I personally find that every VFX artist must have is a good screen. The MSI Summit MS321 Up has a 32-inch IPS panel in a 4K UHD resolution, giving me the best quality to work on this AI art. Plus, it covers 95% of the DCI P3 color gamut, which makes it perfect for color grading tasks.
And it comes with a magnetic hood, so if the sun is bothering you guys, well, you can block it out. How nice is that?
So if you want to know more about this cool setup or even buy it, go to the first link in the description down below.
I promised you guys that I would give away my 5 invites that I have, and what you have to do to win one of those is simply type a comment below this video, and I want you to type a phrase of an image that you would like to generate. You know, for example, a horse floating in space playing golf. It can be something really absurd. I'm going to pick out the 5 most creative phrases or ideas to generate an image and then contact you to send you one of the invites that we have.
Let's go into After Effects. For the first moving art piece of this dramatic ocean scene, we want to determine what needs to move. Most obvious is the sea, but maybe we also want the trees to move, add some birds, and of course add a swinging Geordie. Not that swinging Geordie. Okay, let's start with the sea, and the first thing we added are waves crashing into our tree and island rock. These are created with stock clips of our beloved story blocks. We just took some footage of sea cliffs and masked the waves out, placed them on our wanted spot, used the curves, tint and fastbox blur effect, and eventually blended them with the screen blending mode. Voila, we have some impact waves. Now just pre-compose those clips because we want to add a distortion on them. And for this distortion, we are going to use an actual clip of a moving sea. So we placed that over our original clip, aligned both horizons, and masked out the moving sea. You can leave holes where the tree and the island are, as they don't need any distortion. Now make the sea black and white and use the curves effect to add contrast. Then again pre-compose, but this time only the moving sea clip. Next, look for the displacement map effect and add that to your original AI clip. And for the displacement map layer, we will be using the sea clip. Set the horizontal and the vertical displacement to lightness and lower the values a little bit. Disable the sea clip and look at that, our AIC is moving. To make it even better, we also use an adjustment layer with an animated turbulent displacement effect on it, making it extra wavy. Next up, we added some seagulls, which is just a stock clip. For the moving trees, we also used a stock clip of a windy tree. We masked out a part of the leaves and positioned them where we want. Then we used the curves and lumetri effect to brighten the shot, but also add some contrast. To follow up, we used the darken blending mode to bring it all together. Of course, color match every stock clip you bring into your scene, creating one cool image. Very last step is to add Geordie, which is actually a simple green key. We positioned and color matched them, and donezo.
The next shot we'll be bringing to life is the scary horror house. For this, we took a shot of Geordie standing with an umbrella and suitcase. This shot we can easily key out, scale down, and place in our scene. Now, to bring more life into this, we added a few different overlays to keep it simple. To start with, we added some thunder overlays in the clouds so they would light up at random. Then some overall rain overlay to really make it moody. And to make the rain even more believable, we added some raindrop overlays so that you can see the rain interacting with its environment. We also animated the light on the outside of the building, and to finalize, a nice subtle handheld shake. And as you can see, with some simple overlay assets, you can really elevate a still picture and bring it to life.
For our last moving art, the cool tribute to Eddie Munson from Stranger Things. The steps of bringing our scene to life are actually the same as before. But what's different here is the fact that Midjourney generated our AI upside down a little bit wrong. Like you can see, the trailer home and the sky are perfect, but the ground is pitch black. So in Midjourney we decided to generate a floor with vines separately. We more or less used the same keywords as our first upside down, but we really focused on the slimy vines. Then when we had a result we liked, we simply combined them inside Photoshop. Some simple masking and our upside down looks a whole lot better. We could then bring our new shot into After Effects and start adding the moving parts. Again, we have a light that flickers, some smoke, maybe some distortions, bat flying in the distance, lightning in the sky, and of course, to finish it off, we added Jordy Munson in our scene, being as metal as he can be.
And that is how you can rock as well, just like Eddie in the Upside Down world. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you learned something new. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button if you did. And MSI, thank you so much for support and the awesome computer and the awesome monitor. And now, stay creative! Yeah! Thank you. Thank you.
Nice. Very cool. Some good stuff going on there.
Nice.
Yeah, I wish I had a green screen setup like that.
Mm-hmm.
With
And
that
they-
kind of scenario, you really can go nuts with these AI images.
Yeah, really like that machine that he had there. Ooh, nice computer.
You need one when you're playing around with After Effects and Premiere. After Effects is a hog.
Yeah, pushing it hard, but very cool.
Yes,
Yeah, I
this
love
is a cool channel that I will be definitely visiting more.
Mm-hmm.
That looks like more work than singing the song, though, man.
It is, but imagine being able to put together music videos like that in
Yeah,
that
for
kind
sure,
of a
man.
style. Very cool. Because again, you don't need a whole lot of scenes like that, but you can just piece together a couple of scenes and then some other things, and some scenery and all that, and bam, you got a whole video. And that would be cool.
Now, we're going to take a look at some of the ones that Uni's been mentioning
Yeah, man.
that he's been
Nice.
playing around with. Oh, these are the unicorns.
Yeah, so here, let me bump over to the tab. So,
Oh, you're not kidding.
So here, let me zoom in a little bit. So, I made a tab, or I made a query: a male unicorn with a fishtail, wearing a transparent space helmet, exploring deep space, playing guitar, singing, and driving a tow truck. And I think it kind of got like a little bit better as it went. So we're starting off looking at what I consider to be like the beautiful site, but there's this other utilitarian site that everyone's going to really dig. Anyway, so
Does that guitar have a unicorn neck?
well, it does have a second neck coming out, Steve Vai style. I'm not sure what's going on.
Even though it's an acoustic on this side.
Dude, that would be such a cool guitar.
But I think
like-
this may actually represent a lot of the stuff that you start seeing in the other images, right? Like maybe this is like the first conglomerate.
Right. Trying to get
Now,
its
the
wonderful-
resolution you're going at, does this what's the highest resolution it'll let you go to?
I'm not. I haven't explored this a ton. The more stuff you change, so I only made about 36 images because I thought I only got 52 images, but it looks like it refreshes the coins. Maybe that's daily. I don't know how often. I only started using it just the other day, but I notice I'm back up to the full amount as when I started, and so you have to use these tokens. It just makes it so I don't know. I mean, 50 images a day. That seems like probably I'm not going to always want to make a bunch of images.
No, you'd be surprised, man. I've watched Jason play with these and make hundreds.
I might be willing to
a
pay.
night.
Yeah. So,
And these are
Anyway.
at like 500 by 768, which at that point you can also upscale them, and then you can double them, quadruple them. Usually
So
the
like I
way
s-
these sites will work, they'll allow you
this
to
is
up.
kind of the beautiful site, and it has the ability to make like really pretty intricate. What I like. So this, I did something, I was working on something else I was working on. I thought I'll try that prompt. So it's like a dark-hearted unicorn kissing a beautiful vampire girl under a street light in a remote city location at night under a full moon with a UFO flying by.
Wow, it really took your prompt well.
Yeah. It doesn't always seem to know what unicorn means, but you know, I still like the images.
There's the unicorn.
There he is. He's the peeping unicorn.
I think I saw one up in the clouds there too.
Yeah. Oh, did you? Let's see. So anyway, so this is the beautiful site, and it does beautiful shit, right? It's really cool. But I found this other site. Can I switch over to another tab?
Yeah, if you go to the other tab, you'll see a thing in the top left corner that says share this tab.
Oh, share this tab instead. Okay, perfect.
Nice and
so
easy.
This one's called Crayon, right? And
with just, AI, that's creative.
Yeah. So it's just straight up free, and it makes like six. I think it's like 6 photos at a time, and you can change the stuff. So I went ahead and put in a male unicorn wearing a clear space helmet driving a golf. Oh, I don't want a golf. I was gonna put golf cart in there just for fun, but anyway, a tow truck in space. Should I put the guitar in there again? You got something else I should put in there?
What about keyboard? A lot of times they have trouble with keyboards in terms of the whole 2
okay,
black
great.
notes, 3 black.
Or how about singing? I'd be interested to see how the AI thinks visually to represent singing.
How about playing piano?
Yeah.
Okay, playing piano and singing
while driving the tow truck.
We have
don't
a
try this at
multitasking
home,
unicorn.
Well, that's the real shit. That's just everyday thing for me, man. But okay, so I put in what kind of, you can be photo, drawing, art.
Try photo first, and then we can.
I like photo.
The art styles after, yeah.
And this just lets you unlimitedly just sit here and do this. So it does take 1 minute, and I guess it sort of like plays some ads while it does it. So
and I have noticed a lot of these generators are starting to give you those variation type approach where they'll give you like 4 to 6 versions.
Yep.
And if you can see, it's counting down. Sorry, it'll take. We don't have to watch the actual ad listing.
Well, that's actually a pretty slick. I got to give them credit. Utilizing advertising space like that. This is something that will probably stay free in that case because the advertising offsets the need to charge people.
Sure.
For it.
Yeah.
It's not a bad approach.
Boom.
Nice.
And so 9. Oh, look, like the Emerson, Lake and Palmer version.
Very cool. You see what I was saying?
For some reason, though, a lot of the unicorns have multiple horns. They seem to struggle with that.
Well, it's the same with hands. Like, I guess unicorn horns and hands.
Yeah. Oh, damn, look at that one, dude. That's the shit. And so then when you're in this mode, you can go ahead and you can download them.
Yep.
And they do have an upscale option.
Yeah.
See, one thing where AI has been really useful is the sharpening, the upscaling. In the old days, to upscale an image, once you doubled it or sometimes even quadrupled it, like the image would really break up. But with today's AI upscaling, you can blow it up 4 to 8 times and still get a nice sharp picture.
So, okay, can I switch to a different window?
If you need to switch to a different window, you'll stop the share and then share a window instead of a tab.
Yeah, there you go. That's good.
So,
Crayon.
I have something set up. So that's I think that one it really comes up with some of the most whimsical stuff in my opinion. So I like it. It's not as beautiful, but it definitely has like a certain style.
Right.
All right, so I'm going to share that. Is it working?
Yep.
Okay, great. So just because to not have to try to type this in, here's one that I generated actually off of that same site. And so we're on something called Pica, and it runs off of Discord. And I don't want to get into exactly how it works because it's not hard. It just is like not like a regular website, but you just go ahead and basically type create And my prompt is strum a guitar, smile with the wind blowing. Although a lot of times, actually, let's just try it. I'm gonna, instead of having that whole big
So this is
description,
a built-in Discord app.
yeah. So I'm just gonna type in do stuff, and then it's gonna work on that attachment that you can see possibly right there. And I'm just gonna go ahead and click over.
So now it's actually adding to the image you've already
And it's,
generated.
so it's jumping into the, yeah, it's taking that still image and putting it in this queue. And dude, this is gonna blow your mind.
And we have seen a couple things that were Discord based as far as the way to use it. So people who are familiar with using Discord for any of the others.
Some error occurred, job failed. Did I do my thing? Do it wrong. All right. What to do?
Do stuff was not specific enough.
It'll probably misspelled it. It's the Hooves.
Well, he's like, what stuff do you want me to do?
I do find that giving less instruction instead of more, it kind of allows the AIs to, get more creative with what they're, doing. You're not putting as tight of a guardrail on what they're doing.
I don't know.
So.
I just think it's funny to type hardly anything in there.
Yeah, absolutely. I would do things like nature scene, go, and it would just,
Oh, great. So this will be one of those ones I think that we just did because, well, it's whatever that one is.
Nice.
Come on.
And it's going to do stuff.
So on Discord, this is the Pika Discord channel?
So it's Pika Discord channel. And to get to this, you go to, there's a easier, like a regular website, www.pika.art. And it takes you to the sign up for the Discord and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And, at some point, if we want, we could talk about how it all works, but it's, oh. You want to see somebody else's while we're waiting for mine to come up?
There you go.
So that obviously started with a picture that probably looked a lot like that.
Mm-hmm.
So this one, it only does 3 seconds, so that is a drawback to it. Oh, there we go.
All right.
Oh, but it does give you some movement. That's cool.
Strumming,
Yeah. So, and then like Sadie's like, yeah, I don't know if I really like it. I'm gonna say thumbs down, man. I want it to be better. So, and so it does learn a little bit, but you can also like definitely overcook shit.
Sure. And sometimes again, it's just about thinking about the approach with the prompting. Like if you're not getting the results you want, think about other ways, other words you could use to describe what it is you're looking for.
I should have left it with the wind and all that.
Nice. You could, put
but
it on location somewhere, yeah.
It's, if it's something people want to do, we can, yeah. I mean, I figured it out. It can't be that hard.
It's good stuff. I do like these sites, especially the ones where you can, just jump right in and do stuff, and it doesn't seem like it's that involved in terms of, if you've used any of the other Discord ones, you're all set. If you haven't, getting into Discord for this reason is a good enough reason to get started in it.
Yeah, and if when you do pay, they give you more than 3 seconds. To me, 12 to 15 seconds is a scene.
Oh yeah, something happened there.
The unicorn face. The big nostril in the eye. Something's going on.
Okay, well, so maybe not the world's greatest example, but I mean, you can see that you can start knocking stuff out pretty quick. And again, I'm only just showing off stuff that's free just because I think it'd be fun for people to try.
Yeah, absolutely. You could do little clips of, flying through space and seeing, stars streaming past, that kind of thing. Something like that you could probably loop or, make an animated GIF out of it, make it work like that.
And it did actually do a pretty decent job with the hands.
Here, let's try create. Let's do one more. What did I say? Like, how about strum, wink, wind blow, right? And let's choose maybe a different one and see if it looks a little bit better.
Strumming with the wind.
Yeah. Let's try this one.
Nice. they're like, wind in space? What are you, crazy?
Yeah, the application did not respond. Let me try this again.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
Oh, it gives you hints on the different prompts. I was going to
Yeah.
ask about that. So create is just one starting prompt.
And then fill it in the prompts.
Yeah, we'll just go with that. And then, yeah, and so then I can tell it that I'm going to get the image, and then I like to find something to drag in the image.
There you go.
Come on. Be patient.
Got to give it a little unicorn theme song while it's going. Maybe it's a piano tune.
Now, I noticed that image was a WebP. Is that what they save their images as? Because those can be a little finicky.
I don't know. I thought I was getting stuff in a decent format, but I could be wrong.
Well, your best choice is Ping. Ping is
for
the most
sure.
flexible, versatile
I don't
graphic.
know. I just started running through stuff. And I don't know which file type. I can't remember. I definitely was pulling some stuff down as a PNG. So
there you go. Nice.
Oh,
so that looks pretty good to me. And I'm going to go ahead and
got hair.
Just download it, right? Yeah. It's his main hair.
There you go.
So I think, just went ahead and saved it. And then, but just for fun, I am going to, let's run that again and just see if something happens to it. Oh, come on.
And I would give that one a thumbs up for sure.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. So, I mean, there's a little bit of experimentation. And
Gotta love the tools that are available now. Most of it is just having the idea and understanding how to talk to the AI. That's what the prompt crafting is all about.
I've noticed some people are really good at getting, a really nice result out of there. This will actually do it just straight from text. I could just probably say unicorn, guitar, blah, and it would knock out. I think it will just knock something out right from that.
Right.
It just takes longer because it has to generate the first image too.
And in the other way, you're using one of the faster AIs that's just doing, just image generation to come up with a few things, and then you go, that one, and then you can grab it and feed it to the other AI, which I like, using the one AI for one thing and something for something else. Definitely useful.
Is that the first one? Oh, so that's okay. This is the second version.
He looks.
Look at what's happened to his hand over here, though, man. They've made a whole hand happen.
The strumming.
Anyway, pretty cool, and I've if it's looking this good, I expect even more cool stuff to happen soon.
Yeah, and again, with minimal prompting, it's looking that good.
And I'm just gonna stop sharing.
Yeah, and I'm glad that they're bringing animation into it. Like when we first started looking at it, there was no direct animation built into it. It was just making images.
And even that, it was so many iterations that it had to do to get to something usable, or and then the hands are all mangled, 3-foot long fingers and things like that. So,
hey, I've seen 3 booby chicks.
Yep, it happens. I mean, anytime you're going to have something that's going to generate images, you're going to have some of that, right? It just happens. Now, I know we had some.
Or the AI's been watching too much Total Recall.
Yep, that'll do it as well. So we watched the one that was about Midjourney. The next one we were going to do, I think, was about amazing AI filmmaking, right?
Yeah. This is more for making cinematics and with a Generation 2 style AI.
Nice. And
this one comes from Theoretically Media.
All right.
Which is at Theoretically Media on YouTube. Yeah, another freshie.
Nice. And in painting right there, that first video, you know, that's a good topic as well. You know, figuring out you have an image that you like, but there's one part, oh, it just doesn't, not quite right in this one part. Well, you can say, you know, boom, take that one part and say in paint that and fix it, and it can fix it.
Wow.
Yeah, and you know, this is where, like, you know, the AI is nice to help you get started with things, but this is where the human side complements the AI's starting point.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So let's see here. Amazing AI filmmaking is here.
Gen 2.
Gen 2.
Everyone, so last week I did a video on how to take your Midjourney or AI generated images and turn them into cinematic presentation videos. If you missed it, it's linked below, but today we're going into an even crazier direction. Today we're gonna take our images and turn them into actual movies. Buckle up, this is wild. So today we're gonna take a look at Gen 2 by Runway ML. It's a text to video generator that honestly is nothing short of amazing. We're gonna do a full walkthrough and go over some of the pros and cons of where the AI is right now. Plus, I'm gonna share with you some tips and tricks so that when you start using Gen 2, you'll be able to hit the ground running right away. Currently, Gen 2 is Discord based, which should make all of you Midjourney users feel quite at home. Generating videos is really, really simple. All you do is at the Gen 2 bot and type in a prompt of whatever it is that you want to see. In this case, I did a man on a boat on the ocean near some islands, and this is the video that it generated. I mean, that's pretty crazy when you think about it. That man doesn't exist, that boat doesn't exist, that moment in time doesn't exist, and yet we have video of it. Currently, the output from a prompt is about 4 seconds, but I've got a couple of creative tricks that I'll show you later on in the video to extend that time out just a little bit. Overall, I would say the rendering happens fairly quickly. I think the longest that I've waited so far is about 2 minutes, which is pretty remarkable when you think about what it's actually doing. Your video will output at a resolution of 768 by 448 in a 16:9 aspect ratio. There currently isn't a way to change that aspect ratio to say like 9:16 for vertical videos or 2:1 for, you know, a big CinemaScope kind of vibe to it yet. I mean, it's still early in, so I presume that will happen at some point, and it's gonna be awesome when it does. Now that said, we do have commands to upscale our video to a higher resolution, and we can also interpolate our footage via a command to kind of get rid of that choppiness. We're gonna take a look at that in 1 second. So let's take a look at how that looks with a New York City scene. So I generated this video using the prompt New York City street, busy people walking, and I utilized the upscale and interpolate commands, again, dash dash upscale and dash dash interpolate, and it returned to me a video with the size 1536 by 896, which, you know, is a pretty decent size. So let's take a look at that real quick. Yeah, it's pretty remarkable. So I did just want to briefly point out that a few weeks ago, I was thinking about doing a video on text to video, and the level of output that we were getting at that point in time via the various tools was this. This is like literally nearly the same prompt. It was New York City street, and this was what we got. So, and now we're, you know, and now we're here. We've come a long way in a very, very short amount of time. So I can't even imagine where we're going to be, you know, 2 years from now. So having done our establishing shot, I wanted to start populating our city street a little bit. So I prompted a businessman walking on a phone, and this is the video that we got. That's pretty crazy remarkable. Yeah, there's some jank in the hands, but, you know, that's to be expected. We're very early into this technology, but still, that's super, super, super impressive. And just to give you an idea of the difference between running upscale and interpolate on versus off, here's the same prompt with those commands turned off. So with upscale and interpolate turned off, we get this, which, my God, look at the size of that phone. That's amazing. I hope AI weirdness never completely goes away because I love it. Yeah, I mean, overall, though, you can see that there's a lot more choppiness between the frames, and our resolution is definitely taking a hit. So I continued on and generated a few more videos and strung the whole thing out and cut it together, and this is what we got. So yeah, in about 20 minutes, I had a video sequence of an alien invasion of New York City without ever leaving my desk. And I gotta say, for the most part, despite the fact that there's a couple of, you know, weird AI things, like this guy's got way too many buttons on his jacket, and you know, her hand is a little bit weird. Those are things that I don't think you notice when things are in motion. I mean, there is the one issue of this girl in the background, her eye gets a little bit wonky, but that's pretty nitpicky considering, you know, what is happening here, that this is just a text input and then video is being outputted. But now we're going to take a look at taking reference images and using those as part of your prompt to really hone in on the cinematic vision that you're looking for. Before we jump into the next section, I would briefly like to invite you to hit the like and subscribe button if you have not had the chance to yet. Additionally, I want to thank everybody that's donated to the Midjourney cheat sheets that have appeared in previous videos. Honestly, your support means a lot to me. I really, truly do. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Okay, let's jump in. Bouncing over to Midjourney, last week we created a sequence of about 7 images to create kind of a gothic Victorian spooky story. We then took all of those images and brought them into Wondershare Filmora to do some parallaxing and masking to create a cinematic presentation. The video ended up being about 30 seconds long. Let's take a look at that real quick. If you want to see the full process on how that video was made, that link is below. So taking our images that we generated in Midjourney and using them as reference images in Gen 2 is fairly simple, but like anything else, it kind of, you know, gets a little more complex as we go along. So the simplicity part is just hitting this plus button and then uploading your reference image as you would if you were using Midjourney and using an image prompt. Now you'll still need to add a text prompt. And this is actually a pretty good tip that came out of the Gen 2 Discord discussions, is you could just type in your own text prompt, but you kind of get better results, oddly enough, if you take your image and run it over to Clip Interrogator. I'll have a link to Clip Interrogator down below, but basically you just drag your image in, you hit submit, and then it almost kind of functions as the describe feature in Midjourney. It just analyzes through the image and then comes up with a prompt based off of it. So my initial run without Clip Interrogator gave us this video, which, yeah, it's not quite working right. Taking the Clip Interrogator prompt, which came back with an old mansion with a dark cloud over it, dark and spooky themes, light green and amber, coastal scenery. It actually had more, but I kind of whittled it down because there was a lot of sort of irrelevant stuff in there. And then also playing around with a command called the CFG scale, which is --CFG_scale. What you can think of that as is almost like the stylize command in Midjourney, which is the higher you go, the more it will look at your reference image, but the more unstable your output is going to be. The lower you go, the less consideration it's going to take to your reference image, but the more stable your video is going to be. So running at a CFG scale of 20 got us this, which is cool. It's not quite what I was looking for, but yeah, pretty neat. Super dark, actually. But is definitely closer than that first one was and didn't have that weird ending. So another quick note is that you can't just link your reference image. Otherwise you end up with something completely insane. You actually have to re-upload your reference image each time. If you try to give them a link, it basically gets super weird from that point. So we had our house image that I just linked, and then our prompt, and then this was the output, which is completely wrong. Hilarious, but wrong. Ultimately, once I figured that out, and actually weirdly enough stopped playing with the CFG scale and left it at default, I got something that I actually really liked. So it goes to show, sometimes default is best. So this was actually the output that we got, and I was pretty happy with that. So moving on to the second shot, this one was nailed almost right away. The prompt was a woman in a black dress walks upstairs. In the background, storm clouds slowly move. And the first output was this. I did run it one more time just to see, and actually ended up with something that I liked even more. And we got this shot, which I like this a little bit more. The angle is just a little bit more dramatic. It just feels more cinematic. Yeah, I like this one. That's another tip, is that if you're trying to get shots like this, if you put in cinematic action in the front of your prompt, you're more apt to get kind of more cinematic looking things. So our third image is where we started to run into some real trouble. We have a hand reaching out to a door, and I think, as we all know, AI does not do hands well. So there was a lot of like David Cronenberg-esque video outputs coming. So let's take a look at a couple of them. Yeah, there was this guy. There was this one that just ignored the hand altogether. We had this one, which I don't even know what's happening here. This guy, which, yeah, again, that's fairly horrific. And this one was my favorite. That's just super surreal. So the walking down the hallway shot was one that I was really curious to see how Gen 2 would handle, considering it's our face reveal shot. And Gen 2 really didn't disappoint. So this is the shot that it gave back, which is, I think, pretty good. It really does kind of capture the essence of our character. So let's take all of this, string it all together, and create a film version of our cinematic presentation from last week. So overall, I think that's pretty amazing. It actually reminds me a lot of experimental films that I saw when I was in college, and maybe even made one or two experimental films like it when I was in college. But overall, yeah, it's not a one-to-one recreation of our original presentation, but that's okay because we're essentially changing from one medium to another. And more importantly, it nailed the tone, which I think has a large part to do with sort of storyboarding this thing beforehand in Midjourney. And then ultimately for the problem shots, like the door here in particular, and for some pacing things, I think that the best way to go is to actually use a combination of Gen 2 output and some of the DOJO stuff from Midjourney. Like in this case, just swapping out the door handle for our DOJO version, and just giving some pacing issues by using some of the Midjourney stuff, I think creates an overall better aesthetic presentation. As a final experiment, I wanted to see how Gen 2 would handle animation. I caught a couple of episodes of Samurai Jack recently again. Still holds up, by the way. So that was on my brain. So I just went over to Midjourney and generated a Samurai Jack-esque character and ran that with the prompt Samurai walks to camera, autumn forest concept art, Samurai Jack, and ended up getting this, which it's okay. It's animated. It's not quite what I was looking for. So close-ups, it really wasn't handling very well with the image reference. So that was one. And then here was another one. But I did ultimately land on this and this, which I thought were cool. Not, in the Samurai Jack style, but had an aesthetic that I actually thought was pretty cool. So I'm always pretty big on narrative when I'm doing like these little experiments. It doesn't have to be anything grand or anything. It's just kind of a little short story. And so as I was generating out these ideas, I came up with the story of a samurai coming across another samurai and they duel. It's very, very simple. So let's take a look at how it ultimately ended up looking. Ultimately, I think that came out kind of cool and sort of in that minimalist Samurai Jack style, although it didn't ape the aesthetics of it necessarily. So one thing to note is that the sword fighting sequence was not actually Gen 2. This was actually Gen 1. The reason being is that Gen 2 apparently has not been trained on samurai's sword fighting. So you can't get that animation. It just ends up being characters just standing there. But yeah, overall, I think it kind of works. I mean, I think maybe if I had spent some more time on it, it could have been a little more dramatic and cool looking, but it works. Personally, I'm very excited about all of this. This is kind of the moment that I've been waiting for since, you know, those original DALL-E images first came out, you know, and I was thinking to myself, man, I can't wait until you can add, you know, motion to those pictures. And, you know, here we are, only much, much sooner than I had anticipated. So Gen 2 is currently in beta. If you're looking to get access, I would recommend joining the Discord. The link to that is below. And honestly, just kind of hanging out and being nice. Usually about once a week, they open up the door to let people in. So, you know, if you're part of the community and you're not being a jerk, you know, you've got a pretty good chance of getting in. Other than that, it probably won't be too long until Gen 2 is publicly released. I want to say the beta for Gen 1 lasted about a month or a month and a half or so. So alternatively, you could just wait it out. In the meantime, I do invite you to stick around and watch another video from the channel. My name's Tim. I thank you for watching.
Oh, hell yeah, Tim. Thank you for showing.
Some very cool stuff there, yeah.
Oh, that's how you can make a music video.
Yeah, and I mean, Samurai Jack, hell yeah. that's one of my favorites for sure.
Well, he showed a couple of cool little pieces of software. That clip interrogator,
Yeah,
gotta check
exactly.
that out too.
Yeah, that is a very good one because that, you know, basically it helps you to reverse engineer the prompts. Like you have an image that you really like or a video that you really like, you have it analyzed, and then, you know, tell me how to tell you how to make that. And that way you can take an image that you really like and get your own version of it, your own stylistic, you know, get different changes of how it actually comes together. Very cool.
Yes, that is a very cool channel.
Mm-hmm.
Theoretically Media.
Mm-hmm. And again, I'm going to check out that in-painting video later.
Oh, I'm gonna sign up for that Gen 2. If I don't want to wait.
Be part of the beta program. Yeah, that's the thing is, you know, tech support people and people who have, you know, just a technical mindset in general are what they want in the beta program. Anyway, they want the creatives in there, you know, to have the creative prompts and all that, but they want the people who can help them analyze and, you know, can actually, you know, drill down. If it's not giving you exactly what you want, figure out different ways of asking it or telling it to get at what you want. Sometimes it's combining different artists, so you get a style difference where you get, you know, this animator and this painter, and, you know, put the styles together and you can get something that's, you know, an animated painting style, you know, which would be kind of cool. That sort of thing.
Yeah, this stuff will definitely help you, Uni, with what you're looking to do.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. I think we had one more video for the AI section of the evening here.
Cool.
Yeah, this is actually a AI supercomputer. Like this computer was designed for AI.
Nice.
By the one and only Elon Musk.
Mm-hmm. And this is from which channel? The Tesla Space?
Yeah, this is and you know, there's a lot of YouTube channels dealing with like Tesla technology.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at the Tesla Space. And you know, we're geeks when it comes to this stuff.
This is about Tesla revealing the new DOJO supercomputer.
Yeah, this is the computer.
Tesla's artificial intelligence division.
I'm gonna back that off. There you go.
I was just gonna say, this is the computer that they utilize for, you know, their self-driving cars with SpaceX to handle things. This is their smart computer.
Yep, training the models. Very cool. Here we go. Tesla reveals the DOJO.
Tesla's artificial intelligence division has created a very special and very powerful new type of supercomputer, and they are calling it DOJO. This is a project that Tesla has been talking about for the past couple of years, but as of right now, DOJO is online and it is growing in power at an incredible rate, expected to reach the top 5 most powerful computers in the world by early next year. Project DOJO is a much bigger deal than most people realize, and it is about to change everything for Tesla. In June 2023, Elon Musk announced that DOJO has been online and running useful tasks at Tesla data centers for a few months. This was the first confirmation we've had that DOJO is operational and ready for action. It puts to rest speculation that has been going around about just how mature this new system really is. And Elon's words were backed up by information from the new official Tesla AI Twitter account showing that DOJO's hardware is production ready in July 2023. This means that Tesla has already begun accumulating fully functional DOJO chips and building them out into larger systems of racks and cabinets as the supply continues to grow exponentially. Tesla AI is forecasting that DOJO will expand from its current testing phase to become one of the top 5 most powerful supercomputers in the world by February 2024, reaching over 30 exaflops of computing power. And from there, the production rate for DOJO hardware will continue to ramp up in volume, pushing Tesla's total compute power to 100 exaflops in October 2024. Now, you might be wondering, what the hell is an exaflop? Well, it's a way to measure the amount of work a computer can handle in 1 second. So 1 exaflop represents 1 quintillion computer operations per second. That is a 1 with 18 zeros behind it. It is an unfathomable number on the human scale. So let's put this into a metric that we all understand: money. 100 exaflops of compute is equivalent to 300,000 NVIDIA A100 GPUs. These have been industry standard for a few years as the top-tier processing unit at the most powerful data centers in the world. These are not the kind of chips that play video games. These A100s are used to create the most advanced software on Earth. Large AI models like ChatGPT and Midjourney image generator would not exist without the A100 chip, and that in turn makes these GPUs incredibly valuable. Average cost of around $10,000 per unit. So now we can take 100 exaflops, which is 300,000 A100s, multiplied by $10,000, and you get $3 billion. That's what Tesla is creating with DOJO, a $3 billion supercomputer. And that's just where DOJO will be next October. According to the initial curve on Tesla's graph, it looks like they are projecting at least a 100% increase in capacity over a 1-year period. So that all sounds very exciting and cool, but just what is this DOJO thing actually going to do? Why does a car company need such a ridiculously powerful computer? There's a lot to unpack here. So just like with a real-world DOJO, this computer system is designed to function as a training ground. Except instead of karate, Tesla's DOJO will train artificial intelligence. More specifically, this is the new home of Tesla's full self-driving neural network. So this is the point where we can start separating DOJO from the standard definition of a supercomputer. You see, DOJO is more correctly described as an artificial intelligence training cluster, but supercomputer is a much more familiar association for the average person, so we lead off with that to establish the fundamentals. These training clusters are traditionally made up of giant cabinets packed with GPUs all buzzing away. The graphics processor that we've all been using for decades just happened to be particularly well suited for the type of calculation that is demanded by neural net training. So companies like NVIDIA and AMD just started making these much bulkier and more powerful versions of their existing designs. But DOJO is coming to the game with an entirely new approach. DOJO is a bespoke hardware platform that was designed from the ground up by Tesla's AI division exclusively for use in training their latest computer vision, video-based, full self-driving networks. The goal being to create a digital duplicate of the human visual cortex and brain function, then use that to drive a car autonomously. This involves processing vast amounts of visual data, which in this case is video captured by the vehicle's cameras. All of that information from billions of frames of digital videos needs to be translated into a language that the AI model can understand. This is called labeling, and it's exactly what it sounds like. They're just assigning a designation to a cluster of pixels so that the AI knows what it's looking at. The more labels the network has to draw from, the better it's going to get at recognizing patterns and making associations. In the past, Tesla has had human beings doing this labeling work, but that's obviously not sustainable for growing the capabilities of FSD by orders of magnitude. Eventually, you'd have to have every human being on Earth working at Tesla, so in order to succeed, they need to automate. And that automation comes in the form of computer power, which has now taken the form of DOJO. Tesla's work with DOJO is strikingly similar to what Apple has been doing with their own computer systems, both in philosophy and technology. Apple figured out a long time ago that it was a really effective strategy to build software and hardware that are specifically designed to work together. It results in a more efficient and higher performing device. This is something that Apple has fully realized with their new M1 and M2 powered computers. They've replaced Intel processors with their own bespoke chip that is designed specifically to run Apple software. And they're doing that in an entirely different way than any other computer on the market. What really sets DOJO apart from the rest of the AI training industry is the move away from GPU hardware. DOJO exists on its base level as something called a system on a chip, which is an entire computer assembled on one single piece of silicon. And this is the exact same architecture that Apple used to create the M1. This method allows for a spectacular level of efficiency, because instead of having all these PCI ports and wires and motherboards and stuff all connected together, now every necessary component lives on the same little square of semiconductor material. And the more power you need, the larger you make that piece of silicon and the more processing cores you attach onto it. You can see that with the Apple's M1, M1 Pro, and M1 Max chips. The M1 can't fit inside an iPad or MacBook Air, while the M1 Max is sized up for a MacBook Pro. The DOJO chip is about the size of the palm of your hand, which is a lot smaller than an A100 GPU, but DOJO isn't supposed to exist as just a single unit. DOJO really becomes functional on the tile level, which is the point where multiple chips are fused together to function as one system. And again, this is something that Apple is also doing with their new Mac Studio units. Their top-tier M1 Ultra chip is just two M1 Max chips fused together to create one massively powerful computer. With the DOJO tile, Tesla has fused 25 DOJO chips to create one unified computer system. And each tile contains all of the necessary hardware for power, cooling, and data transfer. It's a self-sufficient computer in itself, made up from 25 smaller computers. Then going one level up, they integrate 6 tiles together into one single rack unit. And then to make one cabinet, they integrate 2 of the racks into one case. The amazing thing about this system on a chip architecture is the level of efficiency that can be reached with such minimal need for power or cooling. So looking again to Apple, their Mac Studio with the M1 Ultra or now M2 Ultra, these are the most powerful computers that you can buy. Yet, they are housed in these minuscule square boxes that can easily sit on top of your desk. They take up very little space and they only need a basic fan system for cooling. It's incredible, really. Just the power supply alone on a traditional PC desktop would be half the size of one ultra-powered Mac Studio. Hopefully, that gives you a more tangible idea of how DOJO is operating. The same thing that is going on inside your new MacBook is going on inside DOJO, just on a massive scale. So now, what does this all mean? What does having this DOJO thing change for Tesla? Well, thing number one is obviously that they will be able to quickly add a large amount of computing power to their AI training program at a relatively low cost to the company. Obviously, any new product is going to have a very high overhead at the beginning of production, but the more DOJO chips and tiles that are produced, the more affordable they become. This also means that Tesla isn't going to the same marketplace and competing to buy the same NVIDIA chips as everyone else in their industry. As the power of AI continues to grow, so does the demand for A100 and H100 level processors. They are going to be difficult to acquire in large quantities, and the price is going to reflect the demand. The new H100 GPU from NVIDIA is going at $40,000 per unit right now. And this inflated value placed on AI training power is something that Tesla could leverage in the future to create a whole new business model with their existing AI division. Elon Musk has said that this first version of DOJO is specifically tailored for Tesla's computer vision video labeling, which is exactly what they need for FSD and later the humanoid Tesla bot. So DOJO is not really going to be particularly useful for anything beyond that. But Elon says that future versions of the DOJO system will be more tailored to general purpose AI training, so it could be adapted for language models or social media algorithms or whatever else people can come up with. Basically, once Tesla gets their own DOJO system up to a level where it is delivering all of the compute power that they need, then every additional DOJO system that they build becomes an asset that can be monetized. Elon sees this working exactly the same as something like Amazon Web Service or Microsoft Azure. Tesla will simply rent out their excess computing power for anyone who needs it, and there will be a staggering amount of need for this service in the years to come. This kind of business model is about as lucrative as it gets. Amazon Web Service is a spectacularly profitable division. This is the reason Jeff Bezos became the richest man alive. It's the reason that Amazon can sell all of this stuff so cheap and deliver so fast. It's funded by just renting out their spare server capacity. Web Service started out because Amazon only ever really needed their maximum server capacity for peak periods like Black Friday. The whole rest of the year, it was just sitting around doing nothing until they got the idea to rent it out. DOJO can do the exact same thing for Tesla, and this is what we call a game changer. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up today if you liked it. That is so important for getting our content out to more people. If you enjoy the content, then you'd probably also enjoy our weekly newsletter, so sign up with the link down below at theteslaspace.com. A huge thank you to all of our Patreon supporters who are listed on the screen now. You help us make the best content we can, and we really appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Holy crap, I'm going to be keeping up with that channel.
Yes, indeed. Yeah,
Soon as I get my first 3 billion, I'm getting one.
Nice. Maybe get 4 billion first, and that way you got that extra billion cushion, right? Then you're ready.
I love that they're renting out their unused computer cycles.
It goes to show you, like, Elon is kind of a visionary there. There will be a big demand for that, and he's probably going to get richer off of this than he did with SpaceX and Tesla cars.
Mm-hmm. Could well be. Like this, as we said, the AI is a game changer, and having the hardware for it, and the system on a chip. There's getting rid of all the interconnect between different devices and just having it all on the one chip is so much more efficient. That is definitely a thing that's going to be happening more going forward.
Yeah, like Uni said, it's going to get crazy.
It will indeed, and that's awesome.
And the chip design, it's kind of ironic. Like, we went from the chip doing the CPU doing all this work to the GPU, and now we're kind of going full circle where they're bringing it back with this chip design to a CPU again, to just massive CPU.
Getting all the calculations done. And for things like, weather modeling and, modeling the universe and things like that, there's a lot of different things that, massive computing power can be used for. And, it allows a lot of scientific stuff to go forward, as well as the other things that people just use on a day-to-day basis for something like that, running a business like they were saying and all of that.
Yeah, I liked his explanation of this really isn't a supercomputer. It's more like a training ground, which makes the DOJO name totally make sense.
Exactly. Very cool. And modular.
We'll call it Skynet.
Yeah, I know.
They turned it on already, so yeah, that's.
I thought I was going to be scared of Skynet, but I'm actually intrigued.
Yeah, absolutely. Because again, it's it's all tools, so it can be used for good or it can be used for bad. So let's use it for good, and let's put some good regulations and good good practices.
All would be back.
All would be back.
Yeah, and they almost convinced me again to get an Apple. Those M2 chips, they are powerful.
Mm-hmm. And again, just the size of the box, that's, going back to those little Mac Minis, that's, you can get powerful, powerful crunching off of that. That would be, that works. And just very minimal cooling needs. It's also good.
Yeah, I just hate the operating system. Their hardware impresses the hell out of me, but I hate that operating system. It's just so backwards.
And they do talk about how it's, designed for the hardware. They're designed for each other. So, that's the thing is for people who swear by Macs, they love that, and just everything just works, and, they just do the thing and everything's all good. And I mean, I've done support with them as well. And having done computer support on the PC side, not the Mac side for so long, there were things that you hated about working on Macs, or things that just don't make sense working on a Mac compared to what we're used to. But it doesn't make it wrong. It's just something that takes getting used to.
So yeah, they are harder to support, and usually like support guys like us are why we hate them is because in the workplace they make your job a lot harder. But if you're someone who started with it and that's the operating system you got comfortable with, those are the loyalists.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Absolutely. Now, I think we were going to shift gears into some vocal stuff after the AI, but the AI stuff is definitely very cool. We hit a lot of good things there, hit a lot of good pages, a lot of good concepts. Now, I think, do you want to start with
nice to bring AI back for a night.
And again, if we don't do it every once in a while, it's going to be so far ahead that we're not going to be able to catch back up. So we got to stay on it.
Yeah. Now, Uni, how's your screaming?
Oh.
I've
heard you scream.
I don't know, man. I can do like Lemmy pretty good, and I can do some Slayer stuff, like how it came out. But I struggle. That's a real niche thing. I want to do better at.
And it's one that a lot of singers search for. Like when you're looking for vocal tips on YouTube, the fry screaming and other screaming techniques, that's what a lot of these vocal instructors really target, especially to do it safely.
Right.
Which
and that's the thing is no injuries.
Some of these videos are going to kind of emphasize that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sometimes when I try stuff, I can tell it's not right because I feel like it's interfering with my normal singing, which it feels like it's got to be wrong.
Well, do you ever feel it when you're doing it? Does it ever hurt, or you feel like you're pushing a little too hard?
I wouldn't say it hurts. It's just not, I don't know. It's beyond comfortable, though.
Yeah, that's the thing is, it's important to not hurt yourself, not go to the, too far into the discomfort range, especially when you're just figuring out how to, work with your voice to get the sounds that you're looking for. But some of the tips that we get from some of these videos definitely help.
Yeah.
And even just some of the ones I see from Jason, just sitting around and just doing.
I envy those metal guys, man.
Very mellow.
I think too. Yeah. It's hard to know what goes into like production on some of that too. Jason put up something a couple months back, where it showed kind of a pre-production and then produced, and that was surprising to me.
Oh yeah, watching Jason over these last couple of years, I feel like I could be a metal singer.
Yep. Starting to understand more about it. Yeah, absolutely. And that's what it takes. A lot of it is technique, and some of it is effects, but most of it is technique, working with the voice and figuring out how to access those those parts of your unique voice, because everyone's different. So for some people, they may have a more comfortable time with the fry than with the screaming, or more comfortable with the scream than the fry, or the cleans, whatever. Like everybody has their own things that are more comfortable. But it's also good to step outside your comfort zone to see what else is out there, and what else may all of a sudden trigger something better in other areas of your voice as well.
I envy the metal guys, man. They do something really cool.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Well, your Lemmy is definitely spot on.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah.
One of my all-time favorite forks on BANDLAB.
I love that one too, man. That one's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now,
the one that I've got queued up here, this one really excited me. I mean, Melissa Cross is somebody that I wanted an excuse to mention and bring up because she is so influential in the vocal world, especially in the screaming world. She's known as the queen of screams, and for good reason. Like every metal artist, anybody out there who wants to learn how to scream properly, the professionals, they go to her. She is the go-to. And it was hard to actually find a video directly from her. She does not promote herself like on YouTube like some of the other vocal instructors we're going to be looking at. She just pops up like on everybody else's YouTube channels because they all want to talk to her. And this particular one, we get two spotlights here. We're spotlighting Melissa Cross, but also this is great vocal channel, and he did a great interview with her, at DrDan Robinson, voiceessentials.com.au,
Nice.
where
Dan.
everybody sings.
Everybody sings.
Well, I'm enthusiastic.
So he talks to her, and it's about master fry screaming without strain with Melissa Cross. Her advice is so important for anybody who's looking to use these techniques.
Here we go.
First question that a lot of people have around scream, distorted vocal, is it going to hurt my voice? It all comes back to vocal health, right? What is the key physical aspects of producing distorted vocals, all while we maintain vocal health? What do singers need to be aware of?
Sound check. Check 1, check 2.
No, there's two categories.
Yep.
Flow and blow.
Yeah.
Flow phonation is, a fancy word for singing or chanting, whatever. That's a flowing sound. That's what the voice loves. The blow way is where you blow air into the past the tissues and constrict the throat so that the epiglottis kind of forms a collision with the area epiglottic folds, and you get that, like that, that noise. But fry screaming does not use any constriction like that. So my contention is that if I can teach people how to do fry screaming first, which is much more like singing, then the other kind of screaming, if they still want to do it, is a lot better performed. So I'm going to explain all of that to you. Okay, so when our vocal folds are making frequencies or pitches, the vocal folds oscillate, right? And they oscillate like cycles per second, right? So it's actually this way, but I'm going to just pretend like that you're looking, like my face is the floor and you're looking down at the floor into my throat. My vocal folds are oscillating cycles per second, which by definition is a pitch. So A220, this is A440, A80, etc. When I'm singing, my vocal folds are doing periodic oscillation, but noise is not periodic. Noise is not an oscillation, but it's more of a pulse register, which is called fry. So on the floppier side, when the vocal folds are relaxed and I do fry, it sounds like, ah. Now, that is not a note.
Yeah.
You could not find that note on the piano. However, right, it sounds like a note, and a lot of people think it's a note when they're talking about screaming, but it's not. It is a resonance. It's not a note. So there's a difference between an oscillating pitch and a resonance. If I blow over a bottle, right, what happens in the bottle is not an oscillation, it's a resonance.
Yes.
So that's confusing in that way.
Yeah.
However, when I do fry screaming, it's not a loose, muscle heavy vocal fold. I actually go into mode 2, which is the cricothyroid kind of stretching of the vocal fold, which displaces a lot of muscle mass. So if I go, right, that is like sort of a mode 2 Some people call it head voice. I like to call it mode 2 because it doesn't have any genre specific ideas with it. So when we go from hey, 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 which is muscularis, and whoop, 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 which is ligamentous, the fry screaming is on the ligamentous. So I have to go into the idea of a like that note and actually put the creak on that note. So I get that note creaky. If I go and I go meow, and then I get meow, 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 meow. There's absolutely no constriction and nothing hurts, and it's not loud. It's not loud when I do it, but it's loud on a microphone because it has an overtone series of between 5 and 8K, which is louder to humans. So my biggest challenge with teaching fry is to get people to calm down and to stop trying to be loud, because fry screaming is plenty loud just by definition because of the higher frequencies in it. Yeah. See, if you put that in your phone, if you just did a squawk like that in your phone, you would listen back and go, oh, that sounds like a metal record. It sounds exactly the same, even though it's not loud. It's the perception is confusing because the inference of the sound is somebody's dying, right? Or somebody's extremely uncomfortable. So it sounds like it should be loud, and it convinces people that it's loud. But the combination of the higher frequency as being louder to human hearing and the inference of the emotion of the lyric, that's what makes people try to be loud. But that sound you can't do loud. If you do loud, you upset the balance between the air pressure and that and the source function. Now, the blow way is the way that people get hurt, because it involves a lot more energy, and it's involving like sort of using wind shear almost to wobble everything. So if I take a big sigh and I go, oh, like that, oh, right? I can manipulate the proximity of my true vocal folds and the aryepiglottic folds up towards the epiglottis. And I get a little bit more sustained because there's more obstruction to the air. Yeah. But there is no high frequency because I'm constricting too much. So I don't get listen to the high and the low in this fry scream. If I change vowels, it changes the timbre of the scream, but the actual pulsing of or the fry thing is constant at the source. The thing that makes it a high scream and a low scream is an O vowel or an E vowel. You switch vowels, and having the capability of manipulating vowel shapes in the rear vocal tract gives this kind of like a lot of range. It's very compelling. It sounds like white noise and pink noise, and it's much more compelling than often you cannot hear that lower stuff because it gets canceled by the bass and the drums and the keyboards on stage, because it's that frequency range is saturated with mids and lows. So people are like killing themselves trying to be heard going, hey, hey, whoa, but it's for naught because there's guitars that are sort of winning the battle on that one. So that high squeal, like it sounds like someone left the water on upstairs, that is what gives people the ability to hear the scream, to connect over the band. Yeah. Just like an opera singer over an orchestra. Same concept.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it.
Oh, love it too.
Yeah, definitely.
Her explanation on resonance, totally crystal clear.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And using the using the head voice and breaking it from there, I like that. Starting from there, working it from there, and again, not forcing, not trying to be too loud, Those are important because a lot of people, they just try to put so much energy into it because they hear what sounds like a lot of energy coming out. So they think they have to push really hard, and that's how they can, hurt themselves in the process. But good safety tips there.
Yeah. You recognize some of that in your voice techniques, what she's talking about. You mentioned loud. That's not the way.
Well, it is interesting because like a lot of stuff I do, people say, oh, it's like, loud. And I've been noticing that if you really want something to seem loud, it's almost easier to make something loud out of
and that's the key.
Quiet, not quiet, but a controlled source,
Yeah, that's the key. You want it to seem loud without actually having to be loud, because loud is hard to record and manage and mix.
And actually, that's a thing too. Like when I'm working with, I like doing duets with, like, say, with a K and stuff, and like her voice just cuts through. It's like a much easier frequency to manage, And so what I started noticing is, even though I wouldn't think it's there, I try to accentuate some of those frequencies in my vocal to make it cut through a little more.
Nice.
When you do the duets, you do your track after theirs, or do they do their track after you?
Just do it however, and then sometimes you hear it and go, oh, I better go do a better job.
You just do it.
Yeah, exactly.
One thing that you could try also is, like you were talking about, or like we were talking about before, doing, taking a vocal and doing a copy of it, let's say, but taking that copy and just, again, sending it through a low pass or sending it through a high pass, and, just taking that section of it for the emphasis, or to be able to, whether it's using a pumper like they were using in the example we watched earlier, or whether it's just, being able to focus on those parts. And again, sometimes it's a resonance at some of the stages that we set up for live bands. There's a low hum, right? Like it could be a 300 hertz, whatever. There's a low hum going on there where it's like he's trying to dial stuff in, and everything is having this low hum that you have to try to get rid of. So just trying to EQ out and trying to understand where those are for your ears, so you can try to just pull that down a little bit, not cutting everything below 300, but just saying a notch like right there if it's something specific.
Right.
That can help sometimes. Good stuff though.
But that was really great. And the not loud, I feel like that's a question I've asked, is it really loud? And it's actually, her saying it's not loud. That's a really helpful place for me to dig in.
Yeah, and it ties in with projection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. We've kind of got a theme with these our vocal videos. It's ladies' night. You're going to notice that. So, although that was DrDan Robinson doing the interview, but we're looking at tips tonight, and they are coming from the ladies. The next one, this is a Jason Jacobs recommendation. It's one of his favorite channels, and probably going to become one of mine. She is just like Melissa, well sought. When you go searching for these kinds of vocal techniques, her and Melissa pop up all over the place. She's basically the complement to her.
Nice.
And she comes from Voice Hacks. It's always funny when they use the word hack, because I mean, it's almost always like proper techniques, but they sometimes call them hacks. Yeah, and she's at Voice Hacks over on YouTube. Voice teacher Mary Zimmer, Mary Z, brings you Voice Hacks. And the video that we got, this is the one that he sent me, can false chord screaming ruin your voice? Which is a question that we, especially Jason, gets asked like almost on a weekly basis.
Yeah. And some variation of it, whether it's how to do it safely or how not to ruin your voice, all those different ways of looking at the same question, but definitely don't want to ruin your voice, but they want to get involved. They want to try it and learn how to do it safely.
Well, and a lot of them want to do it like him. That's why they ask him.
Sure. Well, why wouldn't you want to?
Exactly. Oh, I want to. I just don't know if my voice can go there.
I have to work on my dragon voice. All right, here we go with some false chord screaming. Can it ruin your voice?
Mary Z.
Mary Z.
Everybody, it's me, Mary Z, and I'm back on YouTube bringing you more tutorials, more vocal-oriented content. Today we're going to actually answer a question that kind of surprised me, and it came from one of my vocal students. Is false chord screaming worse for you than other types of harsh vocals? Is it actually bad for you? The false chord scream, just to review, sounds something like this. Yeah! You! Ah! Who's gonna save me from this boy? Still on my police. Come forth in war. Come forth in peace. To grip the nose of Before we begin, I just wanted to say thanks everybody for sticking with me. This year so far, I made it to 100,000 subscribers. I got my Silver Play Award in the mail. Thank you all so much for supporting me. Thanks everyone. And I also wanted to let you know that this coming Sunday, I'm going to get back to streaming. I've upgraded my entire setup. I'm going to stream pretty much the whole day. I'm going to do a really, really long session this Sunday coming up October 3rd. 2021, in case you're watching this way in the future. We are going to do a lot of really cool things. I'm going to do some warming up with you guys. I'm going to be recording and working on some vocals for some collabs and some really cool things I have going on, so you can join me and see how that process works. I'm finally going to be taking a look at some gear. You guys all know my favorite microphone company, the ones that you always see me using in the videos, like this one here, are Rode microphones, and I'm so excited because they actually made an interface, which is really, really cool. And they sent it to me in a package with one of my favorite microphones that they make, the NT1. So we're going to try out this interface a little bit and unbox this on my live stream on Sunday as well. Here's the best part, is I would like to react to your vocals. So attend the streams and you'll find out the details of how to get me to react to your vocals and give you a critique on what's going on with your clean or harsh vocals, whatever you want me to take a look at. See you guys Sunday right here on YouTube for the stream. Let's answer the question of the day, which is false chord screaming really bad for you? I was really surprised to find out from one of my vocal students that this is actually kind of going around the rumor mill. Let's go back and define what I mean by false chord screaming. And the way that I define false chord screaming is phonations with our vocal folds open, harsh vocal screams that blow around or flap around our false chords or vestibular folds, as well as several of our other tissues throughout the soft palate and sinuses. This also sometimes gets called a growl or a death growl. It's a noise with my vocal folds apart, using the other tissues to create the sound. It does have pitches, harmonic pitches, but it doesn't have like a voiced tone like, hey, like my voice with distortion. And there is a little bit of a myth perpetuating that this is not as good for you as other types of harsh vocals. The other two types I would call voice with distortion, which is sort of like a, hey, anything you can hear a voiced pitch in with the distortion. And the third type that I classify of harsh vocals is the fry scream, which is a phonation where you're squeezing, you're compressing your folds together like this and blowing air between them, in addition to using some of the other tissues in the soft palate, the sinuses, to create the rest of the distortion. So there's sort of a myth going around that frying especially could be somehow safer than false chord. I've taught and done all of these sounds for many years, and I'm going to say that from my perspective as a teacher, also looking at some of the limited research we have available on these things, that all of these sounds pose an inherent risk if you don't do them correctly. When done correctly, none of these sounds should make you hoarse because they're not doing mechanically the thing that slams the chords together. And false chord, in my opinion, as an instructor and as a performer, is the one with the vocal folds open. So in my opinion, I feel as though it's the least dangerous, as long as folks are keeping their voice tone out of the sound and actually doing a true false chord scream. There's nothing in the research that's available that indicates that flapping the false chords does anything negative to the true folds. So one of the studies that I love citing for this type of information, and I've mentioned it before on this channel, is the study done by Dr. Krzysztof Izdebski of the Pacific Voice and Speech Foundation. And he took a really close, in-depth look at the false chords. And what he discovered is also what other research has noted, that when done correctly, it doesn't appear to affect our true folds, our true vocal folds, our true chords. Folds and chords, by the way, folks, can be used interchangeably. Our true vocal chords are not really affected by proper false chord screaming. The reason why things can be dangerous is doing a sound incorrectly. When you're not doing it correctly, the movements aren't correct, and so you might do a movement through one of the sounds that is incorrect, that slams your chords together, that puts it at risk, that causes damage. But actually, if I had to say that any of the sounds were riskier than any other, based on my own experience as a vocal instructor and coaching hundreds of people witnessing their problems with and without fry and false chord, and I would say that fry is actually the one that causes people more problems. Fry is a compressed vocal cord sound, and in order to perform a very loud fry scream, you actually need an incredible amount of what we call vocal compression strength, pressing the folds together and the ability to hold them as you increase the volume to a full fry scream level of volume. And this ends up being problematic and potentially dangerous because when we don't have enough compression strength, which most people actually don't when they first start frying because we don't make this sound, it's beyond the strength required for speaking or singing, even distorted singing. And because most folks don't have enough compression strength to hold that initial fry position, we can put ourselves at risk of some sort of muscle tension issues, tension dysphonia, and other problems relating to muscle tension. Also, the compression may release and the voice will tend to go towards a less compressed sound, which is voice with distortion. And this could possibly result in shouting when you want to do frying. Even though we can do voice with distortion correctly, again, you've got to know how to do it. It can't be sort of an accident when you mean to fry. So I actually feel like fry, if I had to say one was riskier than the others, it would actually, to me, be the fry scream. In false chord screaming, when it's done correctly, it's very loose in the musculature. It's all the ligaments, everything's just open and the folds are open. They're not touching, they're not slamming, they're not hitting anything, and our muscles are not compressing. It's even less compressed than actually singing. So I would say that false chord, when done correctly, is reasonably safe. And I've actually been false chording the longest out of any of the sounds that I've done, over 15 years now, and I've had my vocal folds looked at many times. I don't have problems at all with them. So I would say that as long as you're doing the sound actually correct, we shouldn't experience a lot of risk or danger with it. But if you do it wrong, it is risky and dangerous because you're not doing the correct positions. You're not creating the correct phonations with the muscles in here. So that's really the truth of everything. All screams are dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. So I think the way that I approach it in teaching is relatively safe. We try to get it from a growl or a sigh rather than yelling using your voice. Most of the things that actually damage people's true vocal cords are not distorted at all. In fact, they happen more often in speaking tones rather than singing tones. I always use the music conference NAMM as a perfect example. I see many of you at NAMM every single year, and oftentimes you're asking me questions because by day 2, you find that your speaking voice is incredibly hoarse. And certainly most of the folks that are going hoarse in these loud music conference or concert settings where they're just speaking are not screaming or using any sort of distortion. They're simply slamming their true folds very loudly together in an effort to project over the noise, and this is what's causing the swelling and the problem. In fact, if most folks would use a little distortion when they're trying to speak loud by doing something like, "Hey, how you doing?" instead of, "Hey," with your clean voice, you would actually probably go hoarse less. You're creating more of the volume and the noise with your other tissues, but that is certainly an odd way to speak. So just a reminder that most of the sounds that are going to hurt our actual true chords. They're going to have some kind of voice in it, and they're probably not going to be very distorted, to be honest. If you guys want to know more about any of these categories or what I mean, I have a lot of tutorials right here on the channel. If you're interested in booking lessons with me on Zoom and exploring how to do some of these sounds safely and correctly, feel free to email me at voicehacks@gmail.com. Otherwise, I put the link to my online booking portal, which is self-service, by the way. That'll save you some emails and some questions if you're curious. It's right below in the description here. Thank you all so much. I hope to see some of you at my live stream on Sunday, and look for more tutorials and vocal content coming soon.
Wow, Mary Z kicks ass.
That Metal Mary Z. Yep. Very cool.
Yeah, no wonder.
How you doing?
Oh, and you heard what she said about, like, what was it? Keeping the voice tone out of the equation there, and that's how you avoid getting hoarse. Because you're a unicorn.
I see what you did there.
And her tips on vocal compression, you know, that's something that on Tuesdays, Chris Lipe talks about that a lot.
Yep. Good information in there for sure.
Yeah, this is a vocal resource on YouTube that, I mean, even if you're not singing metal, it doesn't hurt to understand these techniques because they apply to other genres, but metal is where these techniques are really at.
Yeah. And I also like the different mouth sounds or the different vowel sounds to make the different depth of sound. So like with the O sound, you can get that much deeper sound, and with the E sound, you get that much higher sound.
Oh, then you're gonna love the girl in our next video because she's all about that. And I've watched a couple of hers, and you know, she's had some where she goes through all the different mouth sounds and how to approach them.
Right. And that actually also ties in with a video that we'd watched in the past on being able to sing notes and have the other notes as well with the different mouth shapes to be able to get the harmonics.
Yeah, I think that was the Singio.
That was one of them. Yep. And the harmonic overtone series was one of the other ones as well.
Yeah, well, that one was great too.
Yeah. But it ties in with that concept with the mouth shape for the different vowel sounds to get the different tones, the different qualities in the tone.
So we're going to have to get that unicorn mouth making all sorts of new shapes.
It's the embouchure, man.
It is. Now, I think we actually have that video in a different spot. So let me go take a look over there.
Yeah, our next one should be over in the Angified Presents brand. And this one came from @VoiceHacks. Guys, check it out. Yeah. And the next one we're going to be looking at is Lindsay Ray. She is so adorable. And I wish we had more time. I would love to show her cooking videos because she is so unique on YouTube. Like, she's like the singing chef, except it's killer metal. And I saw how to do a crock pot, like pork thing, all done in metal.
Very cool.
Yeah, this one comes from, she's @Lindsay Ray, LINZEYRAE on YouTube. And the one we're going to be looking at, this is the first one that Jason showed me of hers. She teaches her mom how to sing metal, you know, and her mom's not a metal singer, but she teaches her in like 5 minutes.
Nice. Screaming vocal tutorial with mom. Let's check it out.
Do I look at the camera or do I look away? Do I look at the camera or do I look away? Hey guys, my name's Lindsay Ray, and I'm going to teach you how to scream today. So for this tutorial specifically, I'm going to be teaching you how I scream, but keep in mind that there are so many different ways to scream and so many different styles, and everyone is going to sound really, really different. But I'm going to show you how I do it, and hopefully it'll help you guys out. So before you start screaming, you need 4 things: water, a place to practice, a good attitude, and your mom. For this tutorial, I'm going to be teaching you guys how to false chord. And this is meant for beginners, for people who have never screamed before. So if mom can do it, you can do it. So to start, what I want you guys to do is just to take in a deep breath and go, and then go like a deep sigh. There we go. So then what you're going to do next is I want you guys to pretend that somebody told you something that you hate or that you don't want to do, like taking your kids to school or your mom telling you to do the dishes. I'd rather sleep in, but right? I'll take him to school. And you're gonna do like an exasperated sigh, like a you roll your eyes when you do it. Now that you've got your exasperated sigh going, I want you guys to try to hold it out longer. So you're gonna do your sigh and go and like hold it out longer. It's okay. Shake it off, shake it off. Deep sigh, hold it out. Perfect. Now that you have your deep sigh that you're holding out, now you're gonna try to add a little bit more of your voice into it to push it deeper down into your chest. So instead of doing you're gonna push it down and put more of your voice so it sounds like a think Cookie Monster. Cookie Monster. There you go. So did you feel that like that kind of vibrating in your throat? Mm-hmm. That's what you want to try to get. There you go. That was perfect. Try to put a little bit more of your voice. Don't be afraid to be loud. It's okay. That was great! Yeah! So think low. Push your voice out. Yes, that's so great! So now do like an O. So instead of going, you'll go, oh. Thinking too hard about it.
I'm totally thinking too hard about it.
Do it. Just do it. Oh. Yeah! So now that you're like, you kind of get the voice, now you're gonna try to push with your stomach. That way you'll get more sound out. Do you know how to like flex your stomach? Like a
okay. Like someone's about to punch you in the like as you start screaming and then do it, or
as you're screaming. As you're screaming. So you're still exhaling, but you're like flexing your stomach as you do it. Instead of just going, you're gonna go, your stomach. Yeah, that was perfect. That was great.
I gotta do it without laughing though.
No, it was great. She did it. Mom did it. So did you feel how like when you push your stomach, it like forces you to like flex and it makes your voice get distorted?
Yeah, it surprises me because I don't think I'm gonna make that sound.
To compare them, if you're doing just the that's a loose stomach. But then if you flex your stomach like you're about to be punched, it turns into yep, perfect. Whoa! Yeah! So now that we got mom to scream, let's go over the points really quick. So first, you start with your sigh. Then you do your exasperated sigh. Then you do your holding out exasperated sigh. And then you do an O with a little bit of your voice into it. And then, remember how we talked about the punch in the stomach? Flex your stomach and then do your sigh. And then that's how you scream. Again, this video wasn't intended to teach you different types of screams or breathing techniques. It was specifically made to show you how to make the noise and to help out beginners as well. If you guys want me to make a video about different screaming styles and different breathing techniques, I'm happy to do so. Just comment below along with any questions that you have. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really, really appreciate it. I'm super fortunate to have such a supportive family. They've been so great and helpful through my music career and through YouTube, and they've been to like all of our shows, and it's super awesome to have them around.
It's been really cool for me to get a little more involved and be exposed to a new genre of music. Going to their shows and now learning how to scream. Grab your parents, make them watch this video, give them a little voice lesson. If I can do it, they can do it.
It'll be fun. If you like this video, be sure to check out my other videos, follow me on social media, and stick around for more.
Don't forget to subscribe. Gracias.
Oh,
As you
she's
said,
so
adorable.
fun. Yeah, she is so fun. And that's family fun. Like the whole family can scream metal together.
Exactly. And if mom can do it, you can do it.
I was doing it actually with her.
Yeah, I like the steps.
Yeah, she explains it nice and clear and short and sweet, simple.
Yep. And again, adding that little bit of voice in there in that last part there, and a little bit of push from the bottom. That is, projection. That's another thing where if you were standing on a stage and you were trying to talk to the person in the back of the room versus just talking to the front row, that was one way that you could project your voice and try to speak loudly without pushing too hard. Same kind of concept there, where you're pushing from down there.
Yeah, a lot of the. Oh, go ahead, you.
Just some people might call that support, right? Yeah.
Yep. Vocal support, or breath support, even having the air and the pressure even behind it.
Yeah, and I was going to say, a lot of these techniques, they're applied differently in the studio than on stage, because when you do have to project your voice further out like that, you have to push a little harder for that projection, whereas in the studio, it's just knowing your mic. That's why Jason so incredible with his recordings, because he knows his mic.
Absolutely. He has a good one. Good mic, especially for what he's doing there, and he uses it perfectly.
Yeah, those Shores, definitely, that's one that I want.
Yeah.
Although I'd also take one of those Rhodes that
there are a number of them that are very good, but again, a lot of it, it doesn't have to be fancy equipment to get solid results. So it's, you can still get the good results even with, just recording into your phone, like other, some of the people have done, or headphones or whatever. But the main idea is to just, go through the steps and see how your voice reacts.
If you have access to more than one microphone, trying that and then listening and comparing those, you may discover, even an inexpensive microphone might have accentuate the right part.
Yep, exactly.
Absolutely. You might find that one mic complements you singing this way, but this mic complements you singing that way. It's good to get intimate with your mics.
Yeah.
Yep. And even doing the same recording and just having, one mic in from this angle and one mic in from this angle, and you're just kind of singing right down the middle, and then you're getting a really good, one recording to this track, one recording to that track. If you have multiple inputs to go through.
Hell yeah. If you're versatile like that, put both mics up and record at the same time and listen to each one. You're having an apples to apples comparison there.
Right.
Well, I'm the opposite way. I have these Audio Technica mics. Not usually they're they're good for stuff, but I just don't like how my voice sounds weird going into that too. It just it just doesn't sound right. But it's just I think that's a thing, is figuring out what works.
Exactly. Figuring out what works for everybody's individual voice. For example, our voices are quite deep compared to a lot of people's, so certain mics may pick us up a lot better than others, where somebody else might have a much preferred mic that's totally different for them because their voice is more of a mid-range thing.
Right.
So that was
awesome.
Lindsay Ray, yeah. And her mom.
And her mom.
Props to both.
Yeah, at Lindsay Ray.
Great support. Great family support.
I highly recommend, if you like metal and you like food, and she also puts up her band's music, and she's good. Check her out.
Nice.
I really picked up, this isn't loud. This isn't really a loud, the PA system is loud.
Yep. You can push as loud as you need to from the PA. Now,
So our last one actually comes from Uni, and I don't have the actual video, or do I?
I have it here. No joke. Get a richer, fuller
Yes,
singing tone in 5 seconds.
it is in our library, but I do have her YouTube page up, which is at Victoria-Victorious. And I love this channel, Uni. Thank you for sending it.
Yep, indeed.
She's like an old school vocal instructor, and it really, man, if you sing along with her, you'll improve in 5 minutes. I guarantee it.
Yeah, and I mean, look at her channel. I mean, it's everything that singers are constantly asking us about.
I've definitely seen her, some of her videos come up before. Can't remember which one though, specifically. But there've been more than one, I'm sure.
Yeah, and she covers everything. I mean, look, even timing.
And again, with the feeds with the way our YouTube feeds have built up from watching so many of these videos and seeing all these different topics, that we get good recommendations of new people. And she's probably one of the ones that if we hadn't seen a video from her before, then it would have been from the recommendations from all the music videos that we watch.
Oh,
preparing
bikini muscles! I will have to check out that video after.
You've captured Tony's attention.
Go Victoria!
And this one's about singing, getting better singing tone, fuller singing tone in 5 seconds with good technique
and healthy vocal techniques.
Right, that's very important. So let's check this one out.
I'm going to show you how to get a richer and fuller tone in 5 seconds. That's right, and that's not a bunch of baloney either. I'll give you my top 3 hacks to transform a shallow and lifeless voice, and it works every time, every single time. 33 years of teaching voice, let's go. Okay, the 3 hacks work together. So you have to make sure to watch the whole video, plus we're going to do 5 important exercises. Hack number 1, space between the back molars. You always hear me say this, immediate improvement. So we go from this, to, or, to, So what are we doing? We are elongating the vocal tract for more color and depth. Okay, there are some exceptions to the rule. For example, if you want a real bright belt, or maybe you're singing super high, but for a fuller and richer tone, this is your default. On the other hand, maybe you want a brighter and more shallow tone for style in some songs, then just do the opposite of what we're doing in these exercises. Hack number 2, vertical oval embouchure. That means north-south. Embouchure equals mouth position. So we went from step 1, to and now we're at or voila. So what are we doing again? We are shaping our vocal tract for a fuller tone. Now, the vertical oval mouth shape doesn't mean I have to look serious or sad all the time. Look at me. I can smile with the vertical oval mouth shape. Hello, darling. See my playlist on facial posture for singing. Hack number 3, energy in the mouth and in the lips. And I want to demonstrate this first in speaking. If I say to you, listen to me, this is really important. It doesn't have much intensity, does it? But if I say, listen, this is really important. You see the energy in the mouth and energy in the lips. Listen to me, guy. So we went from to or to. So it's not fish lips. It's not. If I say, come on, that's not fish lips. We are filtering our sound. Now, I work on these hacks every day with students, so I know how powerfully and quickly they can transform a tone, and the students are always stunned. But in order to make it a habit, or what I call your default, you need to practice, and the best way to do it is through exercises, even just 5 to 10 minutes a day. Now, if you still haven't gotten my audio exercise training program, I recommend you do so right away. I give you tons of exercises, and we cover things just like this for more vocal color, vocal texture, more power, breath control. We work on style too, and I keep everything super affordable, and the best part is I do regular group classes with members. So I hope you can join me. Please sign up right away, and I hope to see you in the next class. Exercise 1. We are now going to review our 3 hacks, and we're going to start with the ah vowel. So if you recall, we went to, or lower voices will be to, But I want you to cup your ears so you can hear yourself and have immediate feedback. Now, I say cup your ears, it's not this, no, it's this, so that you can hear your voice bouncing off of the wall in front of you. So let's do it again. Or the low voices, you should hear a huge difference. Exercise 2, we're going to repeat on like this. Or now you might say, I like those sounds, but what if I don't want it to be as dark? Okay, so remember, there are all degrees to all this. If you don't want it quite as dark, then don't go quite as much into the vertical oval mouth shape, and don't go as much into the energy in the lips. Exercise 3, we're on the vowel E. So we go from E to E to E to E. Keep listening to yourself. Low voices will be E to E to E to E. Exercise 4, the O vowel. So we go from O to O to O to O. Or the low voices. O to O to O to O. Exercise 5. So we go from oo to oo to oo to oo. Low voices. Oo to oo to oo to oo. Can you hear the immediate difference in your own voice? I hope so. You know, this kind of work really excites me. Now, if you want to work more on your vowels, see my playlist on vowels in singing. And if you want to continue to work on your tone quality, see my playlist on better tone quality. And I'll see you in the next video.
Yep,
Oh,
excellent advice.
Those kind of vocal tips excite me.
Yeah.
And you can smile and sing, Uni.
Yeah. Well, and I love that she doesn't have like a beautiful speaking voice. And yet when she sings, she can, like, it really sound like she sings in others videos. She sings a lot more. And like, it's really amazing. And so it's, you know, I don't know. There's just, I don't feel like I have an amazing speaking voice. But I feel like
she
I
kind
like
of
how I
talks.
sing.
She kind of talks like a New Yorker.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of that in there for sure.
But I can relate with that.
Sure. But it's not like, you know, she doesn't like speak like, you know, she doesn't have this, like, you know, big drawn out tone or anything to her normal speaking voice.
Oh, and she hits right to the tips. I mean, she came out blasting tip after tip. Just the molar thing right at the beginning. I was like, whoa.
Yep.
Did not even think of that. That was new. And the ear cupping thing, I mean, I've seen that suggested at times, but like her explanation of why you want to do this, spot on.
Well, and so when I'm singing in the studio or at my dining room table or whatever it is I'm doing, I often take one earphone off, and, you know, so I'm hearing both the recording and then like my actual voice. And I think that's the same kind of phenomenon. It's great to get the immediate feedback.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of singers who say they do that, where they take one off so that they kind of get into both sound spaces.
Yeah.
Same
with I wonder if it matters which ear, like whether it triggers one side of your brain or the other. Anyway, sorry, bro.
Or you see those ones that are cupping their headphones.
Yeah.
Yeah, with some of the live ones, when they're trying to get the monitor mixes right, they'll have in-ear monitors, but that's, you know, they'll have them in both ears, but at times they'll pull one out, especially if they're harmonizing with the other singers. They might pull one out so that they are getting their natural voice right there. So no matter how loud or soft, like their voice might be mixed too low in the mix, so they can't hear themselves in, you know, but they hear everybody else. So they'll pull one out, and then they can hear themselves better in that ear while hearing everyone else for the content.
And it probably does help with the harmonizing.
Yeah. And sometimes you'll actually see people push in on the ear, like close one ear off, but what you're actually trying to hear your voice in your head rather than, you know, hearing the sound in the room. Like if it's really loud on stage, somebody, you know, the guitar player is right next to you, his amp, and it's too loud, so you want to try to sing harmonies again and you can't hear yourself. So what you can do is try to hold that ear shut, and you might be able to hear enough of your voice in that, or enough of the pitch of your voice in that, to be able to harmonize with what's going on.
Yeah, that's another one that our residential vocal instructor is constantly pushing, his head voice and understanding how to utilize it and what it is. Chris Liebe, tune in on Tuesdays.
Oh yeah.
I would have included him tonight, but we had a ladies theme going.
And we actually almost ran out of time anyway, so the timing was just about perfect.
Yeah, we hit it spot on.
Right.
It was awesome to have you again, Uni. Thanks for, and thank you for that channel.
Yep.
Oh,
a Uni special.
Thanks, you guys. Have a good night.
No, we love our unicorn. This
pleasure,
was a
man. Come
good
back
night.
anytime. Come back anytime, and we do this all the time. Another episode of Talking IT with Glenn, Tony, and special guest Uni tonight. Good night, everybody.
It's magical.
Ambient noise, yeah.
So now you're grabbing some BandLab clips.
Now for me, that would also be something where I would use like volume automation and like bring that from the bottom, like bring it in and then bring it back out.
And these are the kinds of sounds you can scratch. With this AI, like scratching it actually can be cool.
Oh, that was perfect for the interlude too.
Ended right in the right
I
spot.
didn't even notice. 40. I didn't even realize the texture faded out at the interlude until it happened. I'm like, wait a minute.
Sometimes you just, you know, it was just meant to be that way.